All right, everyone, and welcome back to the Shardbreaker podcast. We are on episode 7. I am your host, Midnight, and I'm here with Darkness. Say hello.
Hello.
And Mythic.
Nah,
You're not going to say hello? Okay.
I'm here. Thank you.
So yeah,
I'm
we did
here.
we did chapters 27 to 30 this week, 4 chapters, as we have been for a little bit. So yeah, we'll just get straight into it. So this chapter, we started off with Ciri, who was wearing a thin gown with a long train made of tassels with an opaque shift underneath. And she was walking through the colored rooms of the palace, wondering about the danger to herself and Susebron. And she's thinking about how she didn't pay attention to exactly what was written in the treaty between Idris and Halandrin. And we spot Bluefingers, who is hurrying away from Ciri. And Ciri asks one of her servants if they still believe he isn't ignoring her, as apparently he has done this before. But the servant just says it would be improper to run away from the queen, and that he must not have seen her. Ciri also can't get answers from the library, as she hasn't been allowed to take books out, and is constantly watched if reading the library, and has been told if she gets a book from outside the library that a priest will read it to her. So yeah, why do you think Bluefingers is avoiding Ciri?
I mean, I could speculate the fact that he said too much, and maybe he actually believes that they're having intercourse.
I mean, he
And
seemed
that,
to, because he was
well, yeah,
worried that they were going at it.
so I mean, if he thinks they're already in in cahoots with one another and having sex, then the kid can't be far off, and he wants to either distance himself from that, or maybe he's got some other information that makes it seem like Ciri is no longer an ally to be trusted.
Mm-hmm. What do you
Or he
think,
could be being
Darkness?
watched.
That's true. He might think he's being watched.
Yeah, I think it's more on the he thinks he's saying too much, and if Siri goes and tries to pressure him for more information, it's gonna put them all in danger.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's more dangerous to not tell her, but that's me.
Well, the thing is, he said it in more of when he did say the information, he said it in more of a subtle, try to figure it out yourself
Yep.
tone.
Uh-huh.
So I figured he can't just straight up, tell her everything.
He was, I think, whispering stuff and mouthing stuff mainly. I think he's definitely worried about being overheard telling her
Yeah.
things.
Yep. 100%.
Yes. So then we get Siri asks about the activities going on that day, which is apparently a lot, including artists, animal handlers, dye merchants, minstrels, and a contest of physical prowess. And Siri asks for a box to be prepared for her to watch the contest because she had specifically asked what's happening in the arena. So yeah, so she wants to go to that, which I think is later in the day. Which we quickly skip the few hours to that contest, and it's apparently just a bunch of guys throwing large stones, racing, throwing javelins, doing archery and leaping. And Siri thinks about
Shirtless.
how they're just doing random physical stuff.
They're all shirtless.
Yeah, we're gonna get to that. Siri's also thinking about how boys in Idris, even just racing, were considered flaunting and arrogant. So she's like, this is even more over the top. And yeah, she's blushing. Her hair is red, because the men are very scantily. I think they're just wearing loincloths or something. It says
Mm-hmm.
they're basically just in underwear, throwing
Yep.
stuff and running and stuff. So she's very I think she's just she's very
She has never seen something quite so interesting.
yeah, I don't know if she's ever probably seen a man naked before. She hasn't even seen her husband naked, so she's just this is more skin than I've ever seen. And yes, we also get a brief note here regarding Ciri's mother, which is our first mention of the mom, who had apparently told Ciri at that staring at young men was unseemly. So yeah, this is our first mention of Ciri's mom, who apparently was around long enough for Ciri to remember her. And it's technically possible she is still alive, even though we have no mention of it. Do you guys think the mom is still alive, or do you think she just like
No.
stayed around long enough to I guess
I
obviously
think,
she must have known Siri like at least into long enough for Siri to remember things about her and also to have been looking at boys.
yeah, no, I think she's dead.
I see.
I mean, I don't, I just don't think she's around. I don't know if she's dead. I think maybe I just don't think that a mother would allow anyone to take their daughter from them. I don't care what the treaty said.
You think she would have been opposed to
Mm-hmm.
even Vivenna
Maybe that's why
going?
she doesn't stay. Yeah, and then maybe that's why she didn't stay.
You don't think she would have tried to take her daughters with her though, if she was that against it?
Um, Probably, but I mean, you could also think of like it's a kingdom, so and the main word there is king. So
Mm,
if he decrees it, she really couldn't do much. So the only thing she could probably do would be to save her own uh, heartache and headache, and probably distance herself from that whole situation.
yeah. Although just to know on the kingdom thing, like although we do know as the kingdom, I believe the king is actually the one who inherited through like he's actually the one part of the royal family. We do know that technically a woman could take over and be the
Yeah,
main royal line queen.
100%.
Yeah.
Then it would be a queendom.
I was gonna say that.
I mean, I'm not wrong. It would.
Yeah, I
That's
guess
exactly
so.
what it's called.
Anyway, so one Siri's able to pull herself away from looking at the men. She
Hmm.
asks about Lightsong and his colors, and notes that he's also watching the contest, which I guess works out well for her. She notes that she has met other gods, but not properly spoken to them as she had with Lightsong. So Siri walks over to Lightsong, her servants hurrying to follow her, and notes that although Idris is stern, the returned are also too self-indulgent. She has like a little moment where she's kind of like, we're probably a bit too over the top in how like conservative we are, but they're way too self-indulgent, especially like these returned like they're like eating and drinking and being pampered. It's a little over the top. Um, and so yeah, so Lightsong, she meets up with Lightsong, who states that Siri that he's had several disturbing and redefining elements of his soul, which are slowly reconstructing the nature of his existence. And Siri responds that she has had fewer revelations and more confusion. She then asks Lightsong for information, but he states he is useless and can't help, and that she should pay better attention for not knowing that. Do you think Lightsong's note about Siri knowing better is him teasing her, or is it him just trying to warn her to pay better attention to her situation around her?
I mean, I think it's a little of both, but that's just how Light Song is. A
Mm-hmm.
teasing little man.
Mhm.
Yeah, because I think she takes it kind of as a like, you should be ashamed type thing that you don't know
Mhm.
better. Um, but yeah, Siri tries to get back into control of the situation, saying Lightsong is harming her mentally. And eventually Lightsong says that he likes her. Siri then has her chair moved further under the canopy so that she doesn't have to speak so loudly to be heard by Lightsong, and Lightsong agrees to answer Siri's questions if she will answer his, and says she should just make something up if she doesn't have answers to his questions. Because she's like, what if I don't know the answers? He's like, just make it up then. It's fine.
Yep.
Um, where was so yeah, so Siri's first question is about how the other God Kings died, which we learned partially from Lightsong and partially from Larimar, that they
Mostly
died.
from Larmar.
Yeah, I mean, Lightsong had a bit of information. He didn't know like the specifics, but he had some information. And we learned that they died, and the previous one died giving away his breath to cure the people of dysentery, which is a disease of the bowels. So, which Lightsong found
Oof,
very
dysentery.
amusing. um, Lightsong then says he'll have to do that someday, and Larimar gives Siri an apologetic smile, which I think Siri knows. So she's like, "Oh, he actually isn't like being distrusting of me. He's being like kind of like, oh, my God is a bit of a a bit much. Sorry, kind of look." And then yeah, after learning about the previous God King and some back and forth between Lightsong and Siri and Larimar, we learned that Susebron's grandfather, so the king two times back, died not long after his heir was also born, although it was his second born, as apparently girls can't become a god king. So what do you think about the fact that each god king has given away their breath after a male heir is born?
I mean, it's pretty much in the name, though. Like God King. So Had to be the God Queen if it wasn't.
Well, yeah, but I meant like, what do you think? I mean, that was technically my other question was, why do you think that it can't be a girl? But I was asking more like, why do you think like it's right
What?
after they basically had an heir that they died?
You're asking us like, what do you think happened to the kings?
Yeah, which I think we've answered before, but I just think that when they're born, their breath either slowly goes into the child, during conception, or is just given to the child upon them coming out stillborn.
Yeah, I just wanted to see if you had any like different thoughts after like this little conversation or not.
Mm, Not this conversation.
All right.
I think they were slaughtered by the priests or something. I don't even know. But, you know?
Yeah, because it seems like no one's really putting things together like Siri is here. Because Larimar's like, how did you know it was after the sun
Uh,
was born?
I mean, I don't even think Siri is really putting things together that she just thinks she is.
Well, I mean, she
I,
kind of
won-
is.
I wonder what happened to the like the girl.
Sorry,
Show
my
you like
my
that.
headset died. I missed a bunch of
Hey, they're
that.
back.
Sorry. So I left when I had said yeah, that would have been what do you think happened to Susebron's aunt? Because that would have been his aunt, I guess. That was born.
Well, I mean,
Hmm.
could say from what we've already kind of learned. Um, Pretty sure. I don't know. Actually, maybe not. Maybe that's a learned later thing.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. Because I'm
About
hesitating from saying some stuff.
Yeah, about his. I don't
Yeah.
remember. Has Susan talked about his mother yet? Before
No,
the
it's only like
chapters?
chapters.
Okay,
I'm
okay,
pretty
yeah.
sure.
Then never mind.
He has talked about the storybook when we did the whole storybook thing.
Oh, he
He
did. He
we
did. He
got a
did.
little
He
bit
did.
about the mom.
So, seeing as the fact that his mother is at least alive long enough to have done something and talked to him at least, and
Hmm.
him for him to remember, it begs the question that they might not actually be like killing the mom off right off the bat. Um, and so maybe they don't kill her. They don't kill the
The aunt.
daughter. Yeah, the
Yeah.
daughter. But it is weird that nobody seems to know anything about her.
Well, they might. It just might be that Siri doesn't know anything. Like she might have
Well,
ended
no,
up
because I'm
being like.
pretty sure when Lights On didn't really either, though.
But does Lightsong pay attention?
True, but I mean, he does know things.
I was just gonna say like she might have ended up being like someone like super high up and important in like a different regard.
Hmm.
Like we don't really know anything about that daughter at this point. Or maybe she was also a or no, I think they said she was born normally because I was gonna say maybe she was a steel born
She
that
was.
couldn't get the breath, but I think they say that she was born.
N- Alive? So wait, so does that mean that only the males are born stillborn?
I'm gonna double check, but I feel like they implied that it was just like a normal birth.
So, on that topic, darkness.
Hmm.
What if they're not actually stillborn? What if that is a claim, so that it would sound more deific, I guess. Like they're more of a deity because they came back from death.
Uh, Actually, I do have a like. I'm just wondering, what happens? So it takes one breath, right, from what we know, to make a lifeless, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
What happens if you put more breaths into that?
No idea.
We
So
don't know.
what if like they like
Maybe you
slaughter
get a
the child?
sword.
What if they slaughter the child at birth and then just like make it a lifeless and then add a shit ton of breath?
The problem with that, just from the way it's seen so far, it doesn't seem like the lifeless have as much like cognitive sense.
That's what I was thinking, but I figured like the more breaths, the more like aware a person would be, no?
I mean,
Because that's technically what happens with awakenings.
yeah, but
The
I'm
more
kind of being
like aware you
I'm
are
kind of
of
being
your
steered away
surroundings.
from that. I'm kind of being steered away from that for the sole fact that I can't remember what the other guy's name is, but the lifeless that is within
Claude.
with Dent and all them. Yeah, Claude, that's it. Um, that while he has like enough cognitive sense to kind of like stare at them and stuff, he can't speak. And if we're looking at everything else of like you don't have to have any breaths to be able to speak. You don't have to have like a power to be able to sustain and stay alive. Really,
Yeah,
you
but
need
we don't know
breath.
how that would
So
work with like
how
a
it would work with a
dead
lifeless.
person, you know?
I mean, I just feel like it. I don't know, maybe, but
Also, to go back, I found the part where they talk about the daughter. So,
okay.
so Siri says, "What was the first child a daughter?" And he says, "Yes, a woman of no divine powers." So he does say a woman of no divine powers, which makes it sound like she did grow up,
Grow up,
and
yeah.
that she was like born normally, because you wouldn't know that she had no divine powers, or like, and you wouldn't call it her a woman if she was either stillborn and couldn't get the breath, or if she like had something. So it sounds like what they didn't like kill her off. Like it sounds like she did grow up and stuff. Like she
Uh,
may be dead by now as well, considering how long it takes the God Kings to age. Like she may be long dead just because the God Kings can live quite a bit longer. Because I think Susamon's technically 50, they say.
Yep.
yeah.
50.
So it just like since she has no divine power, she ages normally. So if she's Susamon's aunt, she'd either be like really really old or dead by now.
I do like. I mean, we figure it out later, but I want to say it now, anyways.
Hmm.
I do like the fact that um, if they become an awakened or whatever, uh, before before they're I think 18 or whatever it was, like before they're of age, they still
Hmm.
grow and they still like
The
mature until they hit that point and then they stop, and that was really cool in my opinion.
Yeah, their
It's
Like
not
bodies age at a normal rate.
until they hit a specific spot and then it stops aging.
Yeah, until they hit adulthood, which we'll get
it
to
sounds like
later.
Yeah,
it
but
sounds
I thought
like
that was pretty interesting.
Hmm.
it sounds like vampire lore.
Doesn't it?
I've read so much of that.
Oh my gosh. Um, where were we at? Um,
Talking about how sexy Light Song is.
no. All right. So yeah. So then we go into Larmar suggests that Siri hires a professional storyteller to help her with this sort of information, because I think he says like like we can tell you stuff, but like there's professional people who like know histories and stories better. And Siri's worried about like what her priests will kind of keep from her and who they'd hire if she does it. So she asks Lightsong if he could order in the storyteller instead. And Lightsong agrees, and then Siri tries to get up, and he reminds her, after making her wait for him to finish his drink, that she needs to answer his questions. So she sits back down, and Lightsong asks Siri about city guards and whether she knew any in her city. He asks if they are inquisitive and if they investigate murders without being asked. And we kind of know why he's going in that line
Mm-hmm.
of questioning, although she doesn't. I honestly, I'm really curious about what Larimar is thinking the whole time during this conversation.
Me too.
Like, I wish we had gotten some sort of like reaction from him, but we
And
don't.
like, what if he's like internally sweating like, "Fuck, he's getting close," you know?
I
Or
mean, even
imagine
if
if
he
he just
is like,
like, imagine if he's just like, yeah, no, he's way off. He's just a nosy gossip in his past life. That's why he's curious. What were you gonna say,
Or
Mythic?
he's
Oh,
like, "I'm dead. I'm dead. I'm dead. I'm dead. I'm dead."
what were you gonna say, Mythic?
nothing.
Okay. Um, but yeah. So yeah, then after Siri has answered Lightsong's questions, he asks to talk to her. He asks her to talk to him privately, while their servants stay behind. Lightsong then gives Siri advice, saying she's playing a dangerous game in politics, and that she needs to work on her persona. He says even if her persona is who she truly is, she needs to play to it and make sure people think she isn't someone she isn't trying to portray. Sari then tells Lightsong he's a good man, and he tells her to try and appear average. He's like, if you appear too innocent, they're gonna be suspicious, and if you appear too like nosy, they're gonna be suspicious. So like you want to be as average as possible. And then he tells her not to rely on him too much, as he will fail her if she ends up in a bad situation. So what do you
Mm-hmm.
think about Lightsong's advice to Siri?
Within his character.
I mean, that whole conversation just made like hella sense, you know.
Also, I find it
Especially,
interesting how he calls her child the whole time. I don't think he's like physically that much older than her, but he just calls her
Mm,
child the whole time.
well, I mean, he is a god, so.
It's true. I don't know. I just Light Song's always so like playful and like childlike
yeah.
that I forget that he can be older. And I'm like, it feels like he feels like something like 20 years older in this scene.
Hmm. I don't know. It's kind of hard to picture them, like, you know, body wise and like age wise.
And apparently all the return gods are like a foot taller too. And I think Siri mentions having to like crane her neck up to like talk to
Yeah.
him.
And the thing is, most of like a lot of the characters actually, we're not gonna get like a set like range of like age, you know.
Yeah.
Like, oh, this character's like this age. Nah. Especially with how not aging in this universe works.
Yeah, and we do. I mean, this is something that gets brought up again later, but we learn that the
Hmm.
gods really aren't supposed to talk about ages and potential like age variations of them. Like it's not supposed to be talked about. Like, oh, this person looks to be X age. They're gods. They're just
Yeah.
supposed to be God. They don't have an age.
I mean, we also learn about the fact that each one has like a asset that is different and more expanded
Yeah.
on
Physically,
than normal humans, which is really cool.
Hmm.
It just adds to their godliness.
like Midnight would be the like goddess of short people because she would be hella
Wow.
short.
Yeah, she would probably shrink even like shorter. She'd probably be like 3 feet tall instead. She'd be the only god that is actually short.
I would be goddess of the moon. Thank you very much.
Okay.
Rude.
It's one of those like moons you hang on like baby cribs.
Oh my
Yeah, probably.
gosh.
Yeah, probably. The goddess of the wheel. Yeah.
Being bullied.
Yep. You always are though.
I know. It's been my whole fucking life.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's what happens when God gives you short legs.
All right. So that was chapter 27. Uh
Was that all in chapter
that
27?
was all chapter 27. Chapter
Oh,
27 was
okay.
pretty short.
It all
I don't
blended
know
in
why.
together.
Yeah, it felt like really short.
It was short and
Yeah.
also just had a lot of conversation.
Yeah.
So
Well,
it's like kind of
me listening to Audible made it so that I never heard them go chapter this, chapter that.
yeah.
It was just
Oh,
going that so much that I had to continue to look and be like, I'm not going over right because I never heard it say chapter 28, chapter 30. I was like, oh God, this
Yeah,
is
so
gonna
that was that
be.
so that was
no.
chapter 27. So chapter 28 we're with Vivenna, who is currently talking with Thame. And apparently Dent had confirmed that Thame is trustworthy and that his story was mostly true, although kind of like
Mostly.
overstated, kind of like he kind of exaggerated things a little bit. And we learned that Thame has gotten over 100 Idrian influential men to come to this planned meeting. So there's gonna be lots of people there, and like these influential men are apparently like kind of like not the best people, but apparently Thame is like really patriotic, even though he's kind of like works in like the underground, and so these people might be similar. And we learn that there are about 10,000 Idrians living in Halandron currently, most coming to work there as it would take less time to come work here than to petition the Idrian king for food, because apparently Idris is just like a lot of tiny villages like spread out over these mountains, and like they're really like there can be like landslides and all sorts of things that just make it really hard to get to the capital. So sometimes it's easier just to go down the mountain to Halandron instead. And yeah, so Vivenna notes that her father isn't a perfect king and that Idris has its issues, including how difficult it is to get from the villages to the capital. Um, so what do you think about all the Idrians working in Halandron? Any just thoughts on the Idrians here?
Huh.
Go
I
ahead.
definitely didn't expect there to be that many of them
Yeah,
because it
there was
just
a surprising number.
yeah it just it feels like if there's so much hate and like what's it called, propaganda against Halandran people and stuff, just Halandran in general.
Yeah.
Um, why are there so many of them there? And
Well,
a lot of them voluntarily.
I think they kind of state that like it's pretty much either do this or starve. Like have your
Yeah,
family
because the
starve.
king of Idris is terrible.
Yeah,
It's
he
not that
kind of.
he's terrible. It sounds like he'd happily give you free food. It's just hard to get to the
Terrible.
capital. Like they worry
This
that their
man is
families would starve
terrible.
before they get there
Yeah,
and
but
back.
that's why you, as a king, you should look for a solution for that.
Exactly. Help make something better.
You,
Build
you don't just leave
elevators.
it, like you don't just leave your subjects to starve and then like migrate to
Exactly.
a different
You don't
place.
just leave your subjects to starve. You just don't let a war come to your doorstep. And you sure as heck don't just give your daughter away.
Well, I mean, that was kind of one of my other questions for this little section here. Is do you think it's good that Vivenna is realizing her father isn't perfect? Like she's kind of like looking at like her
Imperfect
whole like
or
kingdom
a
situation.
villain?
Hmm?
I said imperfect or a villain? Because I
I
think
don't
he's
think
a
she's
villain.
looking at him as a villain. I think she's just saying
No, I
like
don't. But I think she needs to.
you guys are very anti-Dedalin.
Yeah, because he's terrible. He gave away his daughter, and he still hasn't come for the other one.
No, he hasn't.
No, you're kind of right.
Like, he doesn't seem to care.
Where's
He's
your
got
rest?
Fawfin and Ridger. He's
He
fine.
has two daughters now.
He's got Fawfin and Ridger. He doesn't need anyone else. They're
I
obviously
mean,
the favorite
I don't think.
children.
Honestly, I don't know if he's gonna actually last with them either. I think Foffin's kind of trying to get away from him with the whole "I'm gonna become a monk," and God knows what the other guy is doing because we never met him.
Watch, the only person that actually shows up will be Ridger. He's like, I care.
Yeah, right. Or even better,
Nah, Bob is good. Bob is
maybe
good.
it'll
Fucking
it'll
judge.
it'll jump over to Elandrin, and it'll be like him killing his father and being like, "All right, I'm gonna stop this war. I'm gonna go break this war now."
Ridger's actually the Warbreaker.
Exactly.
Ridger comes out of nowhere in like the final couple chapters.
Or my favorite one, my favorite concept would be he kills the king so that he can say, "Hey, Halandrin, I killed the king. You don't have to come here no more. We don't have to have a war. I'm just gonna bend the knee, and I don't give a shit anymore."
Come feed our villages.
Yeah, right. Just come.
Come feed our people.
It can't be. It can't be worse than it already is.
All right.
I mean, I think 10,000 is a lot, but like, what I was my concept was, I play D&D. I build cities that are like hundreds of thousands of people, large. So like,
mhm.
10,000 is like a drop in the bucket for a huge city. Like,
Yeah,
you
for
wouldn't
for
notice
for the
10,000 people.
capital, it's not a lot of people.
Yeah, but you got
But
to think about like where they're coming from. Like,
yeah, that's what I was
Yeah,
gonna say. For Idris, though, it might be quite a lot of people.
I don't know. From the way we heard about the mountains, they might be some big mountains.
Yeah, they have
These
a
these
lot. They
people might
apparently
be
have a lot of
dwarves.
mountains.
I feel like these people are really just dwarves.
Dwarves.
They're
They're
just
actually
living
just
in
the
these
dwarves.
mountains. Yeah, I mean, apparently Siri is like the prettiest dwarf.
that'd be a funny concept though.
Oh my gosh.
Wouldn't it? Wouldn't it?
She has a color changing beard.
Oh, even better.
No.
Because even female dwarves have beards. So
Yup. Anyway, so Thame then confirms that the meeting with the Idrians will be in 3 days, and Vivenna confirms she will be there. Thame then leaves, bowing, and Denth arrives to sit in his seat. I think I forgot to mention they're at like a restaurant. And Dennis mentions how he likes people who surprise him, such as Vivenna, who is starting to fit in, and Vivenna does not like that she's fitting in, or that Parlin still wears all these very colorful clothing. Denth mentions, however, that Parlin, he kind of like gives like a description, but it basically boils down to like he's basically wearing Halandran camouflage, and she wouldn't find it weird for him to wear like the pelt of a beast or leaves in the jungle, which I think Vivenna kind of gets. So like he's like blending in. So yeah, do you think Parlin is actually being like strategic like that with his clothing choices, or do you think he's just kind of like naive and like, ooh look, cool new stuff?
I think it's like more he's been like pulled around and like given stuff, right? Like
Well, he went
like
out and specifically bought the hat himself and stuff. Remember, like he's kind
yeah,
of gone out of his way
that's
to
what I
do
meant,
these things.
like as in like given like an option to buy stuff, right? Like the market.
Mhm.
And he's just going with it. So it like sort of works because it's coming from like actual fashion stuff, right?
Hmm.
So it's like accidental camouflage.
So you don't think he's being strategic about it all? You still think Parlin's just kind of a you
Naive,
have
yes.
no confidence in him?
It's
I have
not that I don't
confidence
have
in him,
confidence
just
in him.
not
It's
in that
that
regard.
seems he seems, how do I say it?
He's like a
Lucky.
You
puppy.
know when
Lucky.
you're going like in one direction and it goes the other way and you fell successfully.
Hmm.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, like that.
Yeah, exactly. That's the point. He's just got lucky. I agree. I
You
think he just
agree?
got lucky. I also agree with I agree a lot with Dent in this chapter. So
Hmm. But yeah, so Vivenna then notes that she's getting a lot more used to the raids and working the underground as well. Denton moves the conversation to her wearing trousers. He's like, "Hey, you should wear trousers, because they're still modest, but like they're a lot more casual than these fancy, expensive dresses because that's all you can get that are modest because they have to be kind of like foreigner clothing because everyone
Yeah,
here just
that's where
wears
he
like."
got fired.
Yeah, so and because her dresses are so expensive, they have to go to expensive restaurants, otherwise they'd like stand out if they're wearing like super expensive shit at like a really cheap restaurant. But Vienna insists that trousers are not modest. I'm assuming the whole like they cling to your body shape, that's why they're not modest. So she's very against the trousers. That's an absolute no for Vivenna. And they then get back into a more philosophical talk. And Dent mentions that everyone is the hero of their own story and often think they're doing right, even if they're murderers or thieves or dictators. He then says mercenaries are the most honest men you'll ever meet because they only do what they're paid to do. And then, of course, Tonk Fa walks over, says mercenaries are also handsome and clever. Can't forget about that. um, Vivenna notes that she hopes that they aren't the most handsome men she'll ever meet. And the three of them go outside, and Vivenna notices Tonk Fa's monkey is gone, which Tonk Fa notes that monkeys are boring anyways, and Dent states that luckily Tonk Fa has never fathered a child. Do you think Tonk Fa would be a good dad?
no, never.
Absolutely not.
No, not at all. I still want
Also,
to know what happens to these animals, though. Do they
they
die or do they just
they
run
say that
away?
they got lost, is what they. I'm assuming he just leaves
Yeah.
some
Okay.
places
I
and
I,
forgets to
I
bring
could
them with him.
I could claim that I lost an animal and have just gotten it killed.
To be fair, I could just see him like leaving it at one of the restaurants by
I
accident.
could too, but he is very naive in that sense. Yes.
My question was because he so far had a parrot and a monkey. What animal do you think Tunkfa will get next?
Ferret. Ferret. I want to see a ferret.
You want to see a ferret?
Mainly because I think ferrets would actually cling to him. So
What do you think, Darkness? What sort of pet do you think Tunkfa will get?
Um, uh, I kind of want a raccoon.
raccoon.
A raccoon in the jungle?
Yeah.
Okay. That reminds me, actually, we saw a raccoon the other day, just randomly, like on
Off-topic
someone's.
conversations. Let's go.
Yeah, I don't know. That just reminded me. But, anyways, there's just a
Uh,
raccoon chilling on someone's like front porch when we walked by the other day. Um.
Yeah, monkeys are boring, anyways.
Anyway, so yes, your guys are saying either ferret or raccoon. Uh.
I just think
So.
a ferret would actually
wait,
stay with
wait,
him. So,
wait.
Hmm?
A ferret or a ferret or a raccoon, right? That's what we have, right?
Yeah,
mhm.
He's had a monkey and
and a parrot.
Ferret.
ferret.
Very
Okay.
jungle-ish animals so far. Which I don't think either
Okay.
of yours are technically jungle-ish animals, but sure.
Let's find out. Let's see. Let's second. Where
Well,
do ferrets come from?
yeah, I don't know.
Origin.
They're like pet stores.
No, I was saying like
European polecat.
forests.
Domestic ferrets are most likely descended from European polecats.
I see.
Rabbits
A
and rodents.
snake.
Think a
Well, that'd be
snake,
pretty cool.
Darkness?
That'd be pretty cool.
Yeah, I think it's a snake actually. Like
Snakes would make
seriously,
sense.
I
There's
want
snakes
a
in the jungle.
raccoon because it would be funny.
I feel like you see
But
a
if I was
raccoon
a
more
snake,
likely in Idris than in Halandrin.
probably yeah.
There's an Idrian Tonkfa somewhere who has a raccoon.
uh,
Well, I mean, they're from North African forests.
Oh,
At
okay.
least the types of the European polecat, what they
Interesting.
come from. So they could be forest animals.
Maybe.
Yeah, we kind of don't know if all animals there work the same as hers. So
I mean, so far as I
Exactly.
said, monkey and parrot seem to fit in pretty well.
Yep.
what if
I
their
don't know
version of a monkey
where
is
is he
like
getting these animals? He's just going out into the forest and being like, pluck.
did they
Yeah,
specifically say that monkey had like four arms? I mean, four limbs?
Four
I
arms.
don't know. um, Anyways, so the group then make their way to the Dedenier Gardens, which is a place filled with hundreds of statues weathered by the rain. Um, I believe, and then Vivenna and Denth talk about how they're meeting forgers, and they sit near the forgers who are having a picnic to appear kind of just like as like a random family picnicking in the gardens. And they're kind of just talking, and then Viven and Denth sit kind of like across from them at this other statue and trying to like pretend they're having their own conversation, but they're actually talking to each other while like not facing each other. Um, Vivenna states that she wants letters between her father and priests from Halandrin to make it seem like the priests are extorting Vivenna's father while claiming to prevent the war. Vivenna provides a copy of a letter from her father with his signature so they can match his handwriting and signature. And the forgers then pretend to let a napkin fly away and grab it along with the papers from Vivenna before packing up their picnic and leaving. So that was kind of a brief summary of that. What do you think about Vivenna's plan here for like these letters?
Well, the first thing I thought of was she's bad mouthing her own father, which is I love. Uh, but I think she's got a plan otherwise though. I don't think she's actually trying to make her father look bad, but
I think
I don't
she's
know.
trying to,
Kind
after
of.
hearing all the discussion, she's like trying to be like, my dad does not want war.
Yes, but in the same vein, like anybody who's smart see that that could easily be just a farce that maybe he actually does want war and he's just trying to muddy the waters
Mm.
because he sent his own children to their death. Obviously, this man doesn't want war.
What do you think, Darkness, about Vivenna's letter plan with the forgers?
I think I don't know. I feel like it's not gonna do much, to be honest.
Mm.
I mean,
Because,
it
I
does
mean,
also state she meets a whole bunch of other people too, but
Yeah, we're gonna
that's
talk
just
about
kind of
the next
okay.
appointment
Because
in
I
a
mean,
second.
it
I
all
gotcha.
depends on like if everything's gonna go according to plan, which I severely doubt.
So far, things have been going pretty well for them, but I think it's the culmination of all their little things about whether that's all going to actually pan out to the war not happening or to at least hindering Halandrin's chances to be able to go to Idris to wage war.
Hmm.
So like they're doing a bunch of stuff, but it's like how much will it actually contribute to the end goal, right?
Hmm.
So yeah, so then Dent says that Vivenna is becoming an expert, and their next appointment, which isn't for a few hours, is with a group of thieves who had stolen documents that were not very important but would cause confusion and frustration. Vivenna then notices Parlin and Jules talking and laughing, while talking to Dent about how she should send Parlin back to Idris. Vivenna's hair turns red, and Vivenna notes that not for the first time that she used to have better control of her hair. And Dent says that Jules isn't interested in Parlin and that Parlin has mentioned that his father and Vivenna's father would have liked for them to get married. And Vivenna says that or I think she just thinks that she has absolutely no interest in Parlin. Do you believe her? Do you think that she's interested in Parlin? Parlin's
No, because
obviously interested in her.
her hair should have turned fucking green when with jealousy.
I don't know if
The
her hair
woman is
can turn
obviously
green.
jealous. That her demeanor, she was obviously jealous. Even in like, because even in the actual thing, it makes she's making like jokes about her. When she says Jules laughed, it was almost a snort.
Yeah,
Like,
and she also like mentions how it looks like Parlin just looks confused or something. She's like making it
yep,
seem like, oh, Jules is obviously making fun of Parlin and he doesn't even realize.
yeah, like she's definitely jealous.
What do you think, Darkness? Do you think Vivenna has a thing for Parlin?
Uh,
Dent seems to think so.
I think it's possible, but I think that everything that's happening is like, a little bit of an excuse there to not like, take it into account subconsciously. You know what I mean?
Mm,
Like everything is like helping distract her from that fact,
I
even if
see.
she's not trying to take it into account like directly either way.
Yeah.
But yeah, I feel like there's possible chemistry there.
I
To be
just
fair, like I wouldn't
since
put
we
it.
kind of
Hmm?
go ahead.
I was just gonna say I wouldn't put it past Savannah, like with how like controlled she's been her whole life, to like not let herself think about guys because she's like, oh, I'm engaged
Yeah.
to this God King.
Well, she did
But
say
now
that.
she's not. But now she's not. So
Yeah.
I do like though Dent's explanation of he's not the wit of a scholar, but true. He does seem he seems to instinctively know how to blend in. Besides, we can't all be geniuses like you.
Yeah.
I love that sentence. We can't all be geniuses like you. Like,
Dent is great.
yeah, I know. I love Dent. This whole chapter, everything Dent said was just on point. Except I think the one time when he mentions Vasher. Other than that,
he has a very big bias when it comes to Vasher. We'll get to that during that section, but he's
yeah.
yeah, I think he lets
Well,
his
I mean, he
emotions
mentions
get.
Vasher earlier too, though.
Hmm?
When he's explaining the villain thing, he mentions Vasher in that too.
Yeah. Yeah, he's very anti Vasher.
hmm Even Vasher might think that he's doing the right thing.
So yeah, so then we get to Tongfa comes back over, and Dent calls him an idiot after Tongfa like
And he
he's
says,
going about it
"Thank
like
you."
rhyming. He's like, oh, what was it?
Oh,
Flood rhymes
the
with or
blood,
blood
yeah,
rhymes with
blood,
flood
blood, yeah.
because he'd been doing
Because he
some
said
rhyming
something. Because
earlier.
earlier, yeah, because earlier he Dent had made a comment about he's not very poetic or something, and so he
Yeah,
was
they
trying to
and
figure
I
out
think
what
Vivenna
blood
makes a note
meant.
like, oh, they're a lot more like well learned and like
hmm
sophisticated than like she would have thought because like they're like going on about all these words and everything. And although Tonkfa's kind of he acts like an idiot, but he also has like he seems to be like smart, but also like he has like a weird like smart dumb kind of.
Yeah, he's intelligent, not wise.
Yes.
Well, where Dent I think is wise and maybe not as intelligent. Still pretty intelligent,
I
I
feel
think.
like also when Tonkfa gets serious, like he kind of like shows off his intelligence a bit more, but he kind of like he
Has he
likes
ever
to
got
goof off.
serious?
Well, I think if he was doing mercenary work, he's pretty serious. Like he's like good at blending in and like
Was he
during
the one
their
that
raids
broke
and
the
stuff.
horse's feet or
No,
foot or leg?
Claude did.
Whatever.
He went and
No,
burned the
yeah,
building
Claude did
with
it.
Parlin
Wow, wow.
during that time.
That didn't take a lot of smarts to burn a building down. So
But yeah, so then Vivenna gets up and walks around looking at the statues. She notes that each statue has a distinct pose and a unique face. Vivenna then contemplates the contradictions in Haladrin society. And Vivenna then thinks about how wonderful breath is, but also that she still could not awaken and that she would rather become a drab. So first of all, what do you think about the statues? About like how much apparently like effort was put into these statues?
statues probably looked amazing. I wish I could see them.
And there's like hundreds of them, I believe they say. And they're all like slightly unique.
Just slightly.
Well, I think she says like their faces are very unique, and then they have like a they have like distinct poses. I don't know if all the poses are perfectly unique, but like they have like facial features that are unique.
But like unique, like maybe they were prior gods or
I don't know. Like they're obviously like not just all from like someone didn't like sketch a face and then like kind
and then
of
copy
sculpt that
paste it.
face into every single statue.
Yeah, they got out their Photoshop and copy pasted it across
Yeah,
all
they didn't copy paste the statues.
of them. Here's this woman in armor. Here's this woman in a robe. Here's this woman holding a staff. Here's this woman holding a sword. What do you think, Darkness?
Uh, so the thing with me is I've always been fascinated with like
Architecture.
how so like this is like a hidden fascination with me. It's like just architecturally and like just like statues and art stuff and like you know how it's made and why it's made that way. So I feel like I would be more interested in studying it in like close, how do I say it? Sort of like,
Close
close
detail.
up. Yeah, close detail. Yeah,
Hmm.
'cause obviously there's gonna be different like aspects to it than like what we are used to.
Hmm.
Because okay, in the beginning there were like we they were like statues of gods discussed, right?
Hmm.
Like the ones they dressed up with clothing and stuff.
I don't know if those were gods. I think there might have just been random statues again, and there might have been like a statue of like Peacegiver potentially.
Yeah, so I'm just like I'm wondering like how like some certain like custom stuff or like their city and their religion and stuff goes into like their art aspect, like
Yeah,
the statues.
because there was a different garden that didn't have the hundreds. It had like I think just like some statues, and they
Yeah,
also were dressed up. But I don't know if they were. I don't think they were specifically gods. I don't remember directly, but they were. Me, me just. Uh, here we go. I think it just said there were statues that were decorated.
yeah,
Yeah, I just control F statues in my document. Yeah, so it didn't specify if they were like specific gods or specific people. It just were statues
yeah.
that were dressed up.
I feel like I'd be more like interested in that sort of stuff than just like oh yeah, statues, cool. Yeah.
um, yeah. Also, what do you guys do you guys have any more thoughts about with like how Vivenna is like feeling about her breath and she's like kind of going back and forth? Do you think she's
Oh,
going to eventually give in to becoming an awakener? I mean, you guys have kind of we've talked about this a couple
Yes.
times, but
I
she
think
sounds
Vasher's
even
going
more
to
fine.
force her to do so.
she like contemplated it for a second, then she's like, no, 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 I'd rather become a drab.
Yeah,
Yep, and then our Vasher will show up and be like, "Hey, if you don't do it, you're gonna die, and your sister's gonna die, and you should probably do it." And
and then
she's
everyone's
gonna
gonna die
become a
because
drug.
all of this would have been for nothing.
Yep, exactly. And then all of a sudden, she's gonna be an awakener, and then she's gonna,
After
and
awakening.
and then she's going to uh, get the sword and fulfill the prophecy that Lightsong has seen,
Yeah, for sure.
and she will be the Warbreaker.
She'll break the word because she's gonna kill both sides.
She's gonna murder
Yeah, exactly.
everyone with Nightblood.
Huzzah!
All
Well,
right.
I don't know. Nightblood might not work because Nightblood only works on the evil and wicked.
Yeah,
Paladin
but
doesn't
it might
seem that
work for
evil or
her.
wicked.
I mean, there's obviously evil and wicked people in Hilandrin because he has killed people so far in Hilandrin.
Yes, but I'm saying like the entire thing does not seem wicked and evil. Just some people.
Yeah, well, she could
Like I
kill
don't
some
think it.
people.
I don't think it'll kill Susabrand. Susabrand definitely doesn't seem evil at all.
She's gonna try, and the sword's gonna be like, ah, nah,
He's
not
not
gonna work
really
out.
that bad.
And she's
Maybe
gonna be
you
like, what do
should
you
talk
fucking
to
mean
him
he's
instead.
not that bad?
You should talk to him instead.
Well, I mean, I don't think it's Nightblood's like oh they're not very like evil. I'm not gonna kill them. I think it's more of like it can't, even if it wanted to.
It seems to be that
Because
it can't tempt people, is what it said. Because like when he
Yeah,
throws the
it's
sword
still
at
a
people,
sword.
the people that run away are not. They're considered pure of heart, is what Vasher says. And Nightblood gets
Mhm.
confused. He doesn't seem to understand that people can resist him.
Yeah, exactly.
that's what it
He's
sounds
still a
like.
sword. He's still a sword.
It sounds like somebody very conceited.
Yeah,
He's like, but I'm so beautiful. How can you ignore me?
I mean, they are very
Look,
gorgeous.
never in my Nightblood.
Nightblood is the prettiest sword, obviously.
Yeah, the
Nightblood's
prettiest.
the only sword.
So yeah, so then we go into chapter 29. Uh,
One of my favorites.
so we start this chapter with Ciri's point of view. She's in Susebron's bedchamber with him, as per usual. And he asks her to tell him about the mountains. And Siri knows that Susebron's learning quickly, and then if he had access to books, he could likely be a scholar. Siri talks about the mountains and then mentions Oster, and we learn that Susebron does not know of other religions. He's like very surprised. He's like, "What do you mean other gods? Like the court of gods?" And so anyway, she tries to explain that Oster is not a returned or a person, but a force. And this then leads to Susebron asking if she doesn't like him because the Idrians don't like returned, and Siri ends up calling Susebron sweet. She's like, no, you're very sweet, and he's just like,
Gods aren't sweet.
yeah, gods aren't sweet. And yeah, they kind of flirt a little bit, and Susebron eventually calls Siri beautiful.
Wait, can you say that again? They do what?
They're kind of flirting, aren't they?
They're not flirting. I don't know what you're talking about.
Okay.
Siri's gonna be with lights on.
They're flirting. They're
Sure.
flirting.
I'm sure they're not flirting. Anyways,
Bro, they're literally eloping right now.
Oh my
anyways,
god! I know at the end of this is like, ugh.
Susebron
Vomit.
Susebron eventually calls Siri beautiful as well, and that
Yeah,
beauty is not
that's
just
why I
about
want to vomit.
the beauty is not just about looks. He says that he sees the beauty in everything due to all his breath, so he looks to the beauty other than colors and sight, because like to him, literally, absolutely everything is beautiful. Siri then gets flustered and tries to change the topic. So yeah, what do you think about
Kinda
Siri?
makes him
Who's
calling her. Kind of makes him calling her beautiful a little like lackluster if everything is beautiful.
Well, no, because he's saying
Well,
like she's her personality is beautiful.
Yeah, he's calling her like herself, like not like physical body.
No,
It's like the best
everything.
compliment.
Yeah,
You see
I
the
know.
issue here is that I connect with that so much because of my sexuality.
What, that
So I'm
everything's
just like,
beautiful, or that you only see beauty in personality?
well, for me, I feel like everyone has like beautiful aspects in like of their like bodies in general, right?
Hmm.
Regardless of who you are, but like there's always that like I gotta focus more on who they are aspect, like because that's what I'm trying to pull in, you know.
I mean, I totally get that on my end too, because like being ace, I'm like I don't really see people as like sexy or like that sort of thing, and so
Yeah,
like
so like even if like even if like some of these books don't have like um targeted representation towards like a community like ours, right?
yeah,
Still gonna hit a spot, you know?
you still relate to them, yeah, even if it's
Yeah,
not kind of like specifically put in there.
I found that pretty cool. I think that was one of my favorite like parts.
Yeah, I think it was very sweet interaction. I really liked it. I was like, oh, this is adorable.
Yeah, and
Somebody
suddenly,
find me a bucket.
Oh my gosh.
and
Blech.
suddenly I wanted to run away with Suzuran again, just like take him to a safe place.
So yeah, so
I will say, Susubran definitely has a very smooth line that he says in this, which was pretty good. But other than that, everything else is just puke.
wow. Susubron is super sweet. They're adorable.
Yeah, way too sweet.
Anyway, so Susubron then suggests asking his priest to let Siri see the mountains again, but Siri says he can't because he can't let them know that they've been communicating. Siri is insistent that the priests want to kill Susubron, but Susubron insists that they are good men. Siri then
Aside from
suggests,
taking out his tongue.
yeah, he kind of like he can't really respond to that when he's like, yeah, the
Well, yeah,
size of my
because I mean,
tongue.
like in the thing, in there, he actually says that though. He's like,
Yeah,
they're very good people, and then there's like a pause, and he says, except when they took out my tongue.
yeah. Like he's kind of like admit like that wasn't the best, but he still kind of like in previous chapters has kind of like said like,
Understood it.
well, they were scared of all the powers I have. That's why they wanted to do that. Like he believes they're good people. Which is debatable in my opinion. Uh, Siri then suggests that maybe giving the breast to his son would kill Susubron. Siri also speculates that Susubron could, if he had a tongue, use the extra breath he gets, even if he can't use the ones needed to sustain him.
Bro,
So,
Siri,
yeah, I wanted to say, do you think Susubron could be an awakener if he had a tongue
Yes,
because of his extra breaths?
I think that all of the gods can be awakeners.
Yeah, that was giving me a second question. Do you think the other gods could be awakeners if they got extra breath?
I think
Not even if they
Siri,
got extra breath. I think that's a whole big farce. I think they're being given one breath. It doesn't like expend over time. I think they're just telling them, "Oh, you need one breath to stay alive," but they don't really. I don't feel like they probably need that one breath. Plus, aside from that, I mean, it's a very big city, but eventually you would run out of people.
Well, well, they are gonna, have children and families. So
But it's one every day.
No, week.
Oh, no. For Suzerain?
For
I thought it
Susan,
was
yeah,
every day.
no, he gets two a week, potential, and he does mention
Whatever.
sometimes he'll get 3 or 4 a week, but usually it's just 2 a week.
I swear he said it was a day, but okay.
I'm pretty sure it's per week.
I'd have to go back to this here to find out again.
anyway, I think Siri is us in disguise, and she's also part of the podcast. She's one of us, right?
Oh
She's
god.
having all these theories that we've already gone through. She's stealing our ideas. You know,
She hasn't stolen my idea yet,
that's where
so.
one of the listeners came from.
It's one of the listeners. We got a new
Wait,
listener
did
from
you get?
Germany.
Yeah, from Halandrin?
Is is Halandrin in Germany now?
I don't know. Where is Halandrin? Did we get one from there?
I don't know.
All right, let's find out. Where is Halandrin?
Go to Google Maps.
Don't Google.
Mm,
No googling
area
anything.
in the world.
Don't
Type in
Google
Halandrin into
anything,
Google Maps.
Mythic.
Where is Halandrin in the world?
Oh my gosh, I'm scared that you're gonna find spoilers. Please don't Google things.
Mythic just reads.
Please,
It is
please,
currently
please,
raised to the
please,
ground after the
Mythic,
battle.
please. Mythic, please don't Google things. Please don't Google things, Mythic. Mythic.
I don't know.
Just Google, just Google
It doesn't
Maps
have any.
Halandrin.
It doesn't have any good information. So
Okay, yeah, please,
never mind.
please, Mythic.
I wasn't reading into the stories. Okay, I was only reading to see if it would give me like how like when you Google something, sometimes it'll give you that like little passage.
Yeah,
Ooh,
I'm
that's what I was
scared.
looking for. But it didn't. You're scared of what?
But you're gonna like spoil the ending or something somehow.
That
It's like
Highlander is gone and that burnt to ash like
Like
Lightsong
so.
said. Yeah,
Anyways.
I think Lightsong is the smartest person, so yeah,
I think
probably.
he returned and became a super detective, and that's why he can have those visions.
But yeah, did you guys have any other thoughts about the gods potentially being awakeners, or no? Are we good on that?
Besides the fact that I think they are, yeah. I mean, no.
Darkness, any thoughts? Are you good?
I think I need to wait till the Venice training arc with Vasher before
Oh my
I
goodness.
completely talk about that, because I
Alright.
still don't know how learning to awaken works.
Alright. So then we get Soothbrawn. He gets quiet and stands by the window. Ciri goes over to him and rests against his arm, and they discuss how he is worried that she doesn't understand him because she doesn't believe he is a god. But Ciri insists that she understands him better because she isn't reverent towards him. And Soothbrawn then hesitantly puts his arm around her. Very cute. He's very been anti-touching, and he put his arm around her. It's very sweet.
No,
Hmm?
the image I got from that is a tall ass man leaning against her.
Well, no, I'm assuming he's leaning against the railing. She's leaning against him, she says. She leans against his arm, and he has like his arm around her.
Yeah, but
Around her
someone that like,
shoulders.
like
Hey, Midnight.
Mhm.
How many gods have they said there are?
There's 25. I don't believe that's including Susubron.
Okay. So are you telling me, right? This is one every week. There are 52 weeks in a year.
Yeah.
And 25 gods, meaning you are giving up 1,300 breath to just those gods. We're not even talking about Susubron.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, you're telling me that somewhere 1,300 families are just making kids each week?
well, to be fair, there's 10,000, right?
Just
Adrian.
Idrians, not even Halandrin. And like you can't
Yeah.
find many
So
Idrians. I'm assuming
just
Idris has
knowing
like
that they can
millions of
blend in and
people.
do stuff
Or
themselves
sorry,
in that
Halandrin.
city gives you an idea of how many people there actually are in there.
But there are kids, though. That they're giving kids to them is what I'm telling you. Like each one has been a kid so far that we've found. Like,
Maybe they just like really like fucking. You never know. Maybe
Trying to
they
see
have
if,
like a festival or something.
trying to see if
uh,
there's any note about potentially how
fer-
much population just the capital has.
Eternity, fertility, fucking yay.
I don't think there's a
Also,
mention.
I do think okay, we're thinking about like sort of I'm gonna go into a little, different aspect than we're usually talking about, right?
Hmm.
So you remember when that one old dude checked Siri if she was
Hmm.
like,
A virgin, yeah.
and he was like her breath is powerful or whatever, right?
Hmm.
Her biochem or whatever, right? So what if that has like a play in like how they, you know, how they're able to reproduce?
Mm, maybe.
Oh, what's happening?
Sorry, I was looking at
I'm waiting
population
for the
growth stuff.
population here. Yeah, I can't look it up myself, so.
I couldn't find anything about the actual population of Halandrin or something, but I did find that birth. I found a thing about like birth rates, which is in general about 22 babies per 1,000 people per year, which would be only like less than 100,000 people to have enough like babies every year. That's only if everyone had their breath taken. So I think if there's
Mhm.
multiple million people in Halandrin, it'd be pretty easy to get that many breaths every year.
Yeah. I mean, you're
And
stealing from
considering like
kids,
you
so.
barely notice the Idrians when there's 10,000 of them just in like 10,000 of them in
Also,
Halandrin, I'd assume that there's like yeah, like many millions of people.
we also don't know like different like countries and like kingdoms and stuff, right?
Yeah, and like also like I'm assuming this isn't they're not getting the breast just from Tetelier, like that's easier. But like if your family's that poor, it might be worth making the trip to the capital to sell your kid's
Yeah,
breath to the gods to then be set for life. Or well, we don't know they're
They're
set. We know
set
they're
for
not
a
set
year.
for. They're set for an amount of time. But remember, like
They're set for a year.
yeah, but
That's not a lot.
either way, like and also
Hey
like
guys, here's $1,000,000 gold. It only
also
lasts you a year, but here
based
you
on the
go.
size of families we've been seeing, like every family's having like fucking 5 or 6 kids. It seems like.
and to be fair, I think the option of living for a year would be better than dying tomorrow of starvation.
I mean, that's depending on if that's actually the reasoning, but yeah,
Hmm.
Yeah.
because somebody could be just selling it just to sell it.
Yeah.
Yep.
But anyways, that's where we're at with that. But
I mean, if it was the Elandrin king, he'd give away his daughter for probably
the
like
Idrian King, you mean?
very, whatever, very few amount of breaths. I'm
Oh, I'm
sure
sure. Yes.
gives away his children at will.
Mythic's so anti.
Screw this man! How dare he give
Alright.
up Siri like that?
uh,
He's down three. Technically he's down three
Yeah, I guess
bodies.
Fafn's in the monk.
I
Yeah,
mean, Fafin like works in the capital. I'm pretty sure he can see her pretty much anytime he wants.
yeah, he could see
Yeah,
her, but she can't do much else. So,
I mean, she's
yeah,
working.
like, she a monk.
Yeah.
yeah.
But
They took a role in anything there, so you know.
anyways, we switch then to Vivenna's point of view, and Vivenna is with her mercenary group looking at 4 dead bodies. Denth points out the wounds of the men, which had a dark black tinge and skin drained of color around those wounds.
Wait,
Uh,
wait, wait,
Den-
wait, 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 wait.
hmm?
I think you passed something that I don't remember hearing us talk about, or maybe I'm not. Maybe did it jump back later?
We go to Ciri, then Vivenna, then Vasher, and then back to the Light Zone.
No, okay, so yeah, it's still in the Siri thing, because that's what I was thinking of.
Well, oh,
She
okay.
makes he originally made a comment. I swear.
I mean, the
Hold
Ciri
up.
part ended with Suzerain putting his arm around her.
I feel like I'm missing something here because
No, are
there
you
was a
sure we don't come
lot.
back to theory?
Yeah, there was a lot with the Siri Susabron thing.
Maybe we come back to it. So we had Ciri, then Vivenna, and then we go Vasher, and then we have
No, you're not wrong. It is
Lightsong.
Vivenna, but I'm pretty sure we have a whole bunch more with her.
No? Did you guys read an extra chapter?
No.
No.
Oh,
No, because chapter
like
31 doesn't start with Ciri, so you guys wouldn't
I
have.
don't I don't I don't remember the whole us having a conversation about how Susabron makes a comment about uh it's very strange to have a wife who doesn't believe in him or
I did mention that.
uh
I said that
Yeah.
I did go into that. I mentioned it briefly, but I did say that where was it?
this is-
Susabran Susabran gets quiet. Ciri goes over to him and they discuss how he's worried that she doesn't understand him because she doesn't believe he is a god. Ciri insists that she
I don't
understands him
remember
better
us talking
because
about.
she isn't reverent towards him. They also had a previous conversation about gods in general, which was at the beginning of that chapter, which is, well, more at the beginning, where she talks about Oster and how it's like not a person but a force, and Susebron's all confused about that. I talked about that.
Okay, maybe I missed it. That's why.
I think it just
Like
seems longer because the banter goes on for a while,
Yeah,
it
like
went
I have
on
a
for a
hard
long
time
time.
summarizing like conversations without just like typing exactly what they all say. So I kind of,
Yeah.
for some of the longer conversations, I tend to summarize them a bit more.
Hmm.
I mean, I remember us talking briefly about him. Maybe did we talk about it with him being able to use some of the breaths, and she had actually spoken to him about that,
Yeah,
like told him that
Yeah.
he could. Yeah,
yeah.
but
I said Siri suggests that maybe giving the breast to his son would kill him. She also speculates that Susebron could, if he had a tongue, use the extra breath he gets, even if he can't use the ones needed to
Which
sustain
is,
him. And that's when I asked if you
which
guys
is
think he could be an awakener if he had a tongue.
yeah, which is when you also asked if like the other gods could also,
We've
yeah,
gone on a
potentially
couple
use the position.
tangents during the series section, so maybe you just got
yeah,
distracted by the
pretty much.
tangents.
Yeah, possibly, possibly.
We've
And the
gotten into a
fact
few
that I'm very
tangents.
mad at Siri's father. Yeah,
Yeah, we've gone
it's
into a couple
highly
tangents there.
possible. Highly
So,
possible. All right, back to
all right.
Vivenna.
Is there anything else you wanted to mention then? Because we got
No,
distracted.
I just thought we jumped over a lot there,
No, I
but
think we just had a lot of
tangents.
rants. So tangents and rants. So that's why it just felt like we didn't talk about it much. But yeah. So yeah, I described the wounds. Dent also says the dead men were a group of thieves that they had worked with. So they had specifically worked with these thieves. So yeah, we finally get a proper look at the wounds from Nightblood. What are your thoughts about these wounds? The the black wounds with the drained skin around them.
Uh,
You know, it does the difference between it's basically doing the opposite of what every other breath power seems to do. So
Yeah, so we know that the one guy who just touched the sword, his hand had like a patch drained color.
mhm.
These guys were
Well,
like
see,
stabbed or something with the sword, it
yeah,
looks
okay,
like.
but that's what I'm saying. Weren't we in the understanding that like we don't remember Vasher ever killing any of these people?
So that was the servants at Mercy Star's palace. These are different people in a different area of the city.
yeah.
Okay, I thought we were still talking about that, but okay,
No, so this is some random area. This is like some random street in the city on a different
gotcha.
day.
Yeah,
So we have no idea what Vasher learned under the trapdoor. They do not tell us in this section.
Mhm.
okay, yeah.
This is a
All right,
this is like a day
that's
or
why I
two
was
later, I
confused.
think.
Yeah. Well, I was confused when they said 4 dead bodies. I was like, I swear to God, it was
Yes, it's
only
a
one.
similar number, but yeah, no, this is a completely different day, completely different set of people.
You know what would be the most annoying thing if they did this in this book?
Mm,
We're expecting to find out what's under the head, like,
the palaces.
We
the
never do.
imagine if we just never do.
I feel like that'd be bad storytelling, and I don't think he's that bad of a
No,
storyteller. So
I don't think it's much of a spoiler to say it. You'll find out information about that eventually. He's just
yeah,
kind
Kind
of
of don't.
eventually
holding
somebody's
you in
gonna have to go down
suspense.
there other than Measure.
We're holding you in suspense.
What if it's just like, what if it's just like a night blood generator?
Oh God. What if Nightblood awakens and he becomes a person, and then he just goes on a killing spree? And that's what breaks the war.
The return of Nightblood.
The hilt just grows legs and it runs around. It's like a sword with legs.
Oh, it's about as scary as Critical Role with its fucking robot tongue. Oh.
Okay.
So then Denth and Tonkfa argue about what to do about the sword. And Denth is wanting Vasher to draw it as he doesn't want to touch it himself.
Knowing that Vasher can't hold it out for long. That's what he
Yeah.
something to that extent. I was like, oh, that's interesting to know.
Yeah, I think Tongfa wants to like take the sword and Denth's like, I don't want to touch that thing. Fuck that.
Probably because he'd also be tempted by it.
And then yeah, Jules mentions that Vasher beat Arsteel, and Denth again states that he didn't.
No.
The wounds weren't black, and he must have tricked Arsteel somehow, because he's like,
So
there's
probably like awakening. Yeah.
yeah, he's kind of just like, there's zero chance that he beat Arsteel in a fair battle. He's like, Jules seems to think he did, but Denth is like, there's zero chance. This is bullshit. And so yeah, so why do you think Denth is so insistent that Vasher did not properly defeat Arsteel?
Arcel is probably as good as a dueler as he was.
I think he said it previously that Arsteel was better than him. Arsteel was like the best
Yeah.
duelist.
So
Yeah.
so either way, if Vasher used his sword and tried to do a fair duel, right?
Mhm.
It would have left marks behind. And they said there was no marks, right?
Yeah, so Denth's thing is always like, there's no way he won properly. He must use a sword. Jules is like, but there weren't the wounds, and he's like, well, if there weren't black wounds from Nightblood, then obviously he tricked him or cheated or something.
Yeah.
He basically insists like a fair fight. Vasher could not win against Arsteel.
So I have a theory. I have a
Mm.
theory off the back of what he says of we have to make him draw it. He won't be able to hold it out for long.
Yeah.
What if the draining of color is Nightblood taking their breath?
I thought that too, but then I realized not like I realized that that
The what?
person with the
The hand.
yeah, the hand. I wish fuck it's because I can't even say this because it might not work out because they might have multiple breaths. But if they have one breath, right? Let's say they have one
I
breath.
didn't say it took his breath though. What I'm saying, like that's what I'm saying. I think maybe that's what the sword does. Is it takes breath. So like when you're stabbed by it, it takes the breath out, and that's why the wound itself looks different colored. When he took from when he tossed the sword and the dude grabbed it, and then his hand was becoming gray, Vasher stopped him from holding it, so it didn't get to take all of the breath. Meaning he probably got it back, and the color was just that side effect of touching the sword. I mean, it's
Yeah.
just a theory because the way he says he won't be able to keep it out for long makes me think that maybe it siphons it from him, and because he has multiple, he can hold it. You know, he can actually use it and hold it
Like
for a
maybe it
short
takes
amount
like
of
a
time.
certain amount of time to actually take the breath, kind of
Yeah,
thing.
yeah. That's why he could knock it out of that dude's hand and all of that
Maybe it
quickly.
requires death to take the breath.
I mean, kind of have an idea that it's at least in some of the like it's a type of heightening it has because it has its like own aura and everything like that.
It has
So
twisted biochroma.
yeah,
Negative heightening.
It's got negative heightenings.
see now that would be an interesting thing. Everybody's going up in breath. Maybe there's a way to go down in breath, negative in breath.
It's a reverse biochroma.
I mean, it is kind of a reverse biochroma though, because everything else, biochroma's been making everything brighter, and his
Yeah.
seems to make everything darker. So it is reverse. So it would be possible. I have a question though, and it's probably going to be answered later. So if it is, you're not going to give me the answer I want. Is there a possibility that people can change the way they look as in like could Vasher be actually Arsteel, and Arsteel was actually Vasher?
From what we know about breath and stuff, that is not possible.
Yeah,
Okay.
I was gonna say I don't think there's like physical altering sort of thing besides like return.
It mainly seems to alter your aura and your senses, from what we've seen. Like
Okay.
it
I was just
alters,
curious if like a
yeah,
higher
Because
heightening might be able to do that.
not that we are aware of. Currently in the book, I don't want to say anything
because
about whether it's possible later on or not, but currently there is nothing that indicates that that is possible.
I mean
Okay.
otherwise
So
like
my theory, if I'm right, these people, because it comes up later, but whatever. The Where each of these gods have a different asset that is about better, better than most. Maybe the breath is what does that.
Hmm.
The amount of breath they get makes it so that they can change and alter their appearance in some way, and that's why certain people are just gifted, or certain of the awakened are just gifted to be better in one aspect that kind of fits with their whole thing. So,
Hmm.
well if your theory is correct, then at that point Vasher would have to be a returned.
hmm
I mean, I think Mythic's been going on. He's pretty
hmm
convinced that, or one of
Vasher
you
was some
is.
kind of a returned. Yeah,
Yeah, you guys have talked about that a few times about Vasher potentially being a returned.
or Nightblood being a returned.
Yeah, you guys have also talked about
Uh,
that. I think you've talked
But
about like
yeah,
potentially like Nightblood like having the soul of a returned in him or something.
yeah,
Yeah, my other
he has the
question
God King in him.
My other question here was, do you think Vasher actually, I mean, if Vasher is not Arsteel, like Mythic just thought, do you think Vasher
Mhm.
actually tricked Arsteel, or is Dents just biased due to his feelings about Vasher, and Vasher actually properly beat Arsteel?
I think Vasher used an awakening to beat RC. Like awakening, fucking yeah, it is awakening, right?
Hmm.
Yeah, the
Yeah.
Awakening Tower. So.
Because he seems to like using that a lot. So
He's very proficient with his awakening.
yep.
Definitely.
Also, if you think about it, what if what if Vasher's actually like like a surviving like God King?
Or you think he might be like Susebron's like grandpa or something?
Yeah, something like that.
I don't know. That's kind of. I have an iffy on that one, but maybe.
Because I mean, it does expand your life. So
Yeah, but like I said, it just goes against the theories that I have of like.
Yeah, and also
Uh,
then where did Susebron get all his breath from? Because the whole thing is that they
yeah,
pass it on.
exactly.
yeah, but the thing is that it explains that
Well,
Vasher used to have a lot of breath.
Yeah, I guess
well,
Darkness has been
yeah.
going on the thing that like giving away your breath doesn't actually kill you, and that like you'd be able to pass it on and still
Hmm.
live.
Also the fact that like in all technicality, when they're talking about all the previous God Kings, they never state they gave their breath to the child. So the child had to have been just born with this amazing breath.
It
Then
says
That's
just
it says that they gave their breath away to the people, right?
yeah,
that is
yeah,
true. Well, I
So
think they're saying that they somehow give their divine like the special one that they have as a return to the people, and then they give like the treasure trove of them to the kids somehow. I don't know how you, because they've been told though that
yeah.
they can't separate
You
that. So
can't
yeah,
separate. Yeah.
that is a bit of
which
conflicting
is a
information we have
lie,
there. That
you
is
know?
conflicting information. Because yeah, how do you give it both to the kid and to save the people?
One of these
Ah,
motherfuckers is lying.
Siri's gonna come up with that next episode. And you're gonna be like, she's part of the podcast.
he's listening to us, Siri. If you're listening, Siri, if you're listening, just have sex with Susabron.
Oh my
Make a
gosh.
child. It'll solve everything.
Oh
Hmm.
my gosh.
Obviously, we know that their mom is still allowed to stay alive. So,
At least for a while, yeah. I forget what they said. I think Susebron says what. Did he say what happened to her? I don't
I don't
remember.
think so. Not recently.
I thought maybe last episode he might have said something. I don't remember. if it got brought up or not.
Look it up on Google and find out.
Well, I have an idea what happened to her, but I don't know if I remembering it from previously or if
Well, as I'm
I
saying,
Ooh.
should did.
look it up, and then you don't have to say anything to us, but look it up on Google how she died, and then if it brings a bell of maybe it
She
happened
died.
last episode, then hey. If it
What if she
doesn't ring
died
a
of
bell,
that?
I'll let
What
know.
if she died of that like bowel movement disease? And then the king was like, you know what? Fuck it, I'm gonna cure it. You know?
Yeah, exactly. That's what happened. So I don't remember. I remember him talking a lot about his mother, but I don't remember him ever talking about how she died. So
Yeah, okay, so from the I think I'm thinking of something else because the wiki page I'm looking at does not look like there'd be anything that we would know about on
yeah, that's
there.
what I thought.
And what I was thinking happened is not what happened, so I think I'm thinking of something from a different book. Uh
You're melding books now. Oh no,
I'm thinking of
the
the wrong
Santa
thing.
Lynch has gotten to you.
Anyways, so where were we at here? Yes, okay. So yeah, so after they go on about Vasher, as Vivenna is pulled away from the crime scene, she feels someone with a lot of breath watching her,
Yes, here it
which
comes.
we instantly find out is Vasher because we switched to Vasher's point of
Uh-huh.
view.
And
Uh,
then he calls him a name.
yeah, so Nightblood states that Vara Trelides would be happy to see him, and we learn from
Huh.
Vasher that this is another name of Denth. Vasher notes the group and calls Claude an abomination. So first of all, what do you think about the name Vara Trelides?
Ah, sounds very familiar to another name we know.
Any thoughts, Darkness, on Vara Trelides?
Yeah, I I didn't even know what to think at that point because like what is happening?
Being stupid. Hello?
Hmm?
I said, why is my mic being stupid?
I don't know.
I don't know how far before it cut off or if it even cut off. But I could no longer hear y'all.
Oh, there wasn't much. You had kind of said like you'd been like
What if he
the
is
name,
Trellides?
and then
Yeah,
I
what
asked,
if he is Trellides?
you think he is Trelides
Or
somehow?
he's a descendant, yeah. Or he's a descendant of him.
Yeah, Darkness's only response was he wasn't sure what to think.
Yeah, I didn't know. Like at that point, my brain was like, you know what?
I just I just want the red wire and the board and the tack board, and I'll be standing there making theories.
So yeah. We also note that Vasher does not call Tonkfa or Jules by other names. He only specifically calls Denth by a different name.
Mm-hmm.
Just gonna point that out.
Yep.
And yeah, so apparently Vara Trelides is what Nightblood knows Denth as. So we're assuming that must be the name. If that's his real name or not, that was the name he was going by when Vasher was part of their group. Obviously, because that's how Nightblood knows him.
Who is Shashara?
Yeah, I'll get into that
Shashara?
after. Before that, why do you think Vasher, who apparently is fine with making things like lifeless squirrels and is an awakener, would call Claude an abomination? Do you have any thoughts?
I mean, I had thoughts before about the fact that I think it's something to do with Jules's like life, whether it be somebody she loved in the past and they got killed, or her family member, or whatever.
Hmm.
What do you think, Darkness?
I think it has. I don't. I'm not sure because we could take this in the way that like he's not exactly using humans to create lifeless, right? We haven't
Yeah,
seen
he's
any
he's
like
only
sort
been
of
using squirrels as far as we know. Because
yeah. So
I
we
think when
haven't
he
seen any
does
sort of like
I think when he does the first lifeless squirrel, the only lifeless squirrel we've seen, I think Nightblood might make a comment, or there's like a comment made that like he's done that before with a squirrel.
yeah.
I think
So
yeah.
he hasn't. We haven't got any like evidence that he's used it like to
On
make human
humans.
lifeless. So maybe he's just against that.
Yeah, so maybe he just
Or
doesn't like that they use it on people.
yeah, maybe that's the thing, and he's just like against it, or maybe there's just something wrong with Claude that we don't know about yet. You know?
Yeah, I mean, Vivenna is called Claude weirdly human-like, and like
Yeah.
lifeless are supposed to be pretty much like almost like robotic, kind of do nothing,
Uh-huh.
feel nothing. They just
Yes,
do
my
Which is
orders.
master.
my exact thing. Like,
I will exterminate.
yes, yes.
So yeah. So then Nightblood asks about a woman named Sashara, who Vasher states
Who
they
created
killed,
him?
just like they had killed Arsteel, and just like they will eventually do to Denth.
Mhm.
Nightblood refuses, apparently as usual, to acknowledge that Shashara is dead, and he kind of just keeps going on about how she created him to destroy evil. Vasher states that Nightblood is too good at destroying evil, which Nightblood takes as praise, even though I don't think Vasher meant it as praise. So, what do you think about Shashara being the one to create Nightblood, and about him being created to destroy evil?
Okay, so
Previously, we
he
were
was
told that he
created.
was created to protect life.
So he was created, right?
Hmm. By Shashara.
All right.
Wait,
Yeah.
it says that he was created to destroy evil, right?
Hmm.
So, I think
So
Nightblood says that Shashara created him to destroy evil. Vasher has previously stated that Nightblood was created to protect life.
yeah, so here's the issue, right?
Hmm.
If he was created in order to destroy evil, in the sense that he, like, the sword itself believes it, but like, what if Vasher is trying to use it in that sort of sense where like he believes it in that way, but in his own way, right? Like it's different than what Nightblood believes, right?
Hmm.
And we've seen like comments and acts of like Nightblood, sort of like hinting that that's not exactly the way they want to deal with stuff, right?
Hmm.
So I feel like it could depend on how the creator, which is the new character that was announced right now, perceived the situation that they're trying to get rid of. You know,
Hmm.
like what if she perceived evil as different from like in a different perspective, and that's what is affecting like Nightblood.
Okay, my theory.
Sure.
Okay. Well, the fact that he can't seem to understand that or acknowledge that or not Dent, sorry, Vasher says we killed her,
Yeah, I think
meaning
he
that
says we killed Shashara
yep,
just like they killed
we
Arsteel, and
killed
just like
our
they will
steel and
eventually do
just
to
we will
Denth.
kill Dent, as in they are both complicit in doing so. And if
Yeah,
Yeah,
he's
he
gonna
is
double
made
check
to
the wording.
destroy things, yeah, well,
He's
if he is made to destroy evil and Shashara made him, I would assume Shashara is probably not trying to kill themselves.
Yeah,
Um,
it was specifically a we. We killed Shashara long
mhm,
ago, just like we killed Arsteel, and then he thinks in his head, just like we'll eventually kill Denth. He doesn't
yeah,
say that one out loud.
but so like very weird if he did if Arsteel didn't have the black uh things around his wound and he
Mm-hmm.
says we killed Arsteel, meaning that they both would have had to have been complicit in that.
Yeah.
Maybe that the black like stuff around is kind of showing the evil because he's still a sword, so he can still kill people.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe the black is only given off once if he kills somebody that is actually evil, or doing bad. Uh,
Mm.
but what makes me curious though is the whole we killed all of these people, but like how could you? Why would the sword want to kill its own creator? And
maybe
if if it did kill its own creator and killed Arsteel and is fated apparently by Vasher to kill Denth. Maybe it's something the fact that like neither Vasher or Nightblood can actually stop, and it's just something like it's a kind of like a curse of holding this sword that it will kill the people closest to you. Hence why Vasher then ran away. I would assume.
Hmm.
Well, okay, so there's a thing that she could have created the sword, right? With that mindset of like destroying evil, but that doesn't stop her from like being corrupted or like being seen as that evil. Because at that point, it could be a separate, like a whole separate being, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So it's gonna slowly view like stuff by itself. But
I don't know. It's just hard to believe that Vasher's evil.
the thing is, there could also be a possibility of like, you know,
Or
Dan
not Vasher,
said
sorry.
that
Jen.
Basher can't like have the sword out for too long, right?
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
So what if that could end up killing the person, and that's what happened to her?
But why would it be we?
Because technically, like she could have just like forced her to keep the sword out, and then the sword would have a hand in killing that person, even if it's like not, you know, like directly. And that could be a reason why Nightblood is like, you know, silent, because they probably didn't mean to.
Well, it's almost as if Nightblood doesn't like know. Like
Yeah.
they still feel as if Shishara is alive. So it's almost as if
Yeah,
they
and
don't know that.
I mean, obviously there was that big fight with Dent and everything. Nightblood obviously thinks that Vara Trellides would be happy to see him, which I don't know if Dent
Mm-hmm.
would be happy to
No.
see Nightblood. Nightblood likes to ignore things that aren't like he also ignores the
So
fact that people who are pure hearted, who I feel like he should know at this point,
Pick him up.
aren't
Yeah.
won't pick him up. Like I think he seems to like ignore or maybe like forget things that aren't they're like not things that he likes, things that like don't make him happy.
yeah. Also, why would he let Vasher like? I struggle. Is Nightblood a he or a she, or in like what is it?
Vasher's
It's a
always
bad.
referred to Nightblood as a he.
Okay, so um, so what if like why is the reason that Nightblood is like allowing Vasher to like use him instead of like, oh, I must return to my master sort of mindset,
I know he
since
seems to. I
Vasher's
mean, he
not the
seems
one
to
that's
like
doing
a
it.
few people. He likes Denth. He likes Vasher. He likes Shashara. He seems to
But
like certain people.
would that mean that he would allow like Death to use him too?
Potentially,
Possibly.
as far as we know, he might because he likes Denth.
But Dent
I,
doesn't like him.
Well,
I
then
wonder
yeah.
if it, you see, here's another thing. So if it's shown like liking towards other people and not just Vasher or the creator, then Vivenna's a big possibility here, you know?
Hmm.
Vivenna is pure of heart so far. I would
Yep.
definitely say she is probably the least evil of the bunch. What is this?
Just a
Let's
little. So
destroy
it's a big
evil.
thing. So I had almost said this earlier in a previous episode before we knew that Nightblood was created to destroy evil. Is it's a big Nightblood like meme thing where it's like let's destroy evil or let's destroy some evil today.
Uh,
So I just sent you guys a little picture of like a sticker thing. That's it's a big. Everyone loves that. I think during a previous episode I almost said with Nightblood like destroy evil, and I'm like oh don't say that. We haven't gotten to that point.
That's false advertisement, by the way. It's
yeah,
not a
right.
black word, and I don't like it. Remove
Yeah,
it
I
from my
know.
site.
It's the sword's not.
Black sword.
I'm
Like, come
sorry.
on.
But yeah.
How dare.
Actually, what was it? A black sword, or was it the black sheath with a silver sword?
I thought it was a black sword.
Maybe I think it's a black sword with a silver sheath. Yeah,
We're talking about what? Uh,
Night blood. Here, let me.
no, but we're talking about what? Light Song Saul?
No, I'm just talking about how Night blood was described.
Oh,
Appearance. Yeah, completely black. Yeah, I think it has a silver sheath. That's what I was thinking of. Because I remember that it's like silver and black. So it's a black blade with a silver sheath. But yeah, I'm sorry. The blade isn't black in that picture. It's false advertising. It is.
No, yeah, I think I specifically liked it even more because it was like black, you know, metal instead
oh,
of.
what's wrong with it if it was white?
I think I would like it more as well, you know. as long as it's not normal, like average, silver color.
Oh, what's wrong with being average?
It's boring.
Here you go,
How
darkness.
dare you?
That I can say safely.
Nightblood. Oof. I mean, didn't we already get this picture once? I think we
Might
did.
have, yeah. Yeah. Nightblood's a pretty black sword.
Mm-hmm.
Anyways.
Nightblood's the only sword.
Yeah. Any other thoughts about Shashara or Nightblood's purpose?
No,
I think Nightblood isn't. I don't think Nightblood knows his purpose, but
I think Nightblood is a very old person with Alzheimer's.
I just think they block out things mentally.
Yeah.
Trauma. Oh wait, great. The fucking sword needs therapy too.
Thor does
Sword
need
has
therapy.
trauma.
Everyone needs therapy.
Yeah, I mean, anybody who touches it needs therapy too. So
I think a lot of people who touch it might need to go to jail.
or die. Yeah.
But yeah, so Vasher then focuses on Vivenna, mentioning that his plans are falling apart because of her. He wants to jump down and let Nightblood take her. But Vasher notes that the deaths were drawing attention, and Nightblood was right that he wasn't good at sneaking around. He then thinks that he'll deal with Vivenna later. So it seems like Vasher is set to interact with Vivenna and her group at some point. Whether that might just be to kill Vivenna, though. But yeah, what do you think when he eventually meets up with them, he's just gonna go straight for trying to kill Vivenna, like Dent thought, like he implies here, or do you think yeah, things will change?
I mean, I'm hoping Death kills him, but
You want Dent to kill Vasher?
yep, 100%.
You don't like Vasher?
Vivenna can have. No, I like Vasher. I just think Death is gonna kill him, and then Vivenna can get the sword.
You mean Vara Trellides?
Yeah. Yeah. I'm gonna call him Death because otherwise he's Trellides to me.
What if they duel, right? They're in the middle of fighting, and then something happens, and then that's when he's like, you know what? Fine, let's chill out a bit, and then training montage. I really want that training montage.
I know you do.
I don't know. I think I kind of have a feeling you're not far off. I feel like it's gonna be like they're gonna start fighting, and then Vivenna's gonna jump in the middle and be like, "You guys need to stop fighting" or whatever. But
And then Nightblood's like, I like this one.
I like
She
this one.
reminds me of
No, why?
Shashara or something
No,
like
right?
that.
Exactly. Yes.
Wait, what if they actually confuse? What if the Nightblood actually confuses her?
With Shashara, oh, that'd be even funnier.
I mean, you think he would have said
that'd be
something if
awesome.
he thought she was Shashara when they were looking down there.
Well, what if it does? It can't see. It doesn't have eyes.
I mean, it knows Denth is down there.
Uh-huh.
And it's
Nah,
mentioned
that's
sunlight and
that's
stuff before. It can like sense things. I think it said it can like see through Vasher's eyes,
It
or like
couldn't,
it can.
but it couldn't sense that Shashara wasn't down there. So
Well, no, I think it was just mentioning Shashara because they were talking about Denth.
I thought he said to go see him.
Yeah, he says that we should go see her at some point. I don't think he thinks she's down there.
He said his Shashara here is what it was. Yeah.
this is too much. Anyway,
All right, so we move on to chapter 30, the final chapter.
Anyway, let's get on to the light song.
Yeah, so we're back to Lightsong. Lightsong is trying to work with Clay, and Blushweaver and his priests are all very confused because he's like flinging clay everywhere. He eventually stands up, and his hands and robes are cleaned by his servants. And then he informs Blushweaver that he has learned he is no good at pottery. Lightsong then grabs some lemons off of a table and begins to juggle them, which causes Blushweaver to ask if everything is all right with him and seems genuinely concerned. She's just like, are you all right? you okay,
you know
Lightsong?
what's funny?
Yeah, I'm all right. Just hand me that other thing right there, so I
The
can also
guava.
juggle it. Yeah, so I can also juggle it.
For some reason, I read that "Are you all right?" sort of thing in your voice.
Really?
Yeah.
I don't know if I want to be Blushweaver.
Yeah, you want to be Blushweaver?
I said I don't think I want to be Blushweaver.
I think you want to be Blushweaver.
I don't know if I want to be Blushweaver.
You want to be tall and voluptuous.
I don't know if I want to be.
Everyone.
You can do cosplay. Do cosplay.
I
The only
don't think
thing
I
you
have
don't
the
want-
proportions to cosplay Blushweaver.
The only thing you don't want is her sex life.
I definitely don't want that.
All you need is Jesus to carry you like on a couch, carry the couch, and with you on it.
Darkness, darkness. I feel like we should just imagine Midnight
Oh gosh.
as Blushweaver now
No.
because we don't know
Yeah,
what they
for
look like.
sure.
Oh my
Because we don't know
gosh.
what they look like, so
Well, I'm
we
definitely
need to
not
just
7 feet tall.
well, no, but
Because we
I'm
haven't
just
returned yet.
yeah, exactly. That's just a short Blushweaver, you know.
Oh gosh.
It's Blushweaver. It's
Oh.
Blushweaver
Like
pre
it's like
Blushweaver.
she's like half her size, but you know it's
Oh my
okay.
God. Anyways, so Lightsong then tells Blushweaver that he's only learned today that he can juggle, and he's also learned that he knows a
I
lot
don't
of
know a whole
sailing
bunch of
terms.
things.
He
Yeah.
is fantastic at mathematics and has an eye for sketching. He also lists a bunch of things he's learned he can't do. He then explains there are things. These are things that the person he was previously knew and didn't know, not Lightsong. Blushweaver states that they aren't supposed to think about who they were previously. So yeah, what do you think about Lightsong's skills and how interested he is about learning about his past?
He's a carny.
He did caricatures and juggling.
Exactly. Carny.
What do you think, Darkness?
Hmm.
About his
I think.
skills.
I think a lot of things actually, but um, I don't know. I think he's like on the right path, just figuring stuff out. I feel like he has the like right idea of what he is already. You know.
I don't know. Lightsong can juggle me any day.
Uh,
All right. Well, but
Lightsong, sketch me like one of your French girls.
oh my gosh. Blushweaver then states that she doesn't worry about who she used to be because she was boring and ordinary before. Lightsong, however, notes some curiosity with her. Blushweaver then suggests that Lightsong could make some discoveries with her, and Lightsong says no. Things kind of get a little awkward after that, and then Blushweaver says sexual innuendos are always best because they bring attention back to her. So yeah, there was just an awkward
Ooh, one of
conversation.
my favorite things in this whole like chapter that we're like discussing right now
Yeah.
is how hard it seems she
Lightsong
tries
is?
and fails every time.
She wants him so bad. He's like not
I
interested.
wonder why.
He's
Probably
seriously
because
friend
he's
zoning her.
sexy.
He's like, I'll come hang out with you, but no, we're not going back to the bedroom. Not interested. Absolutely not. Please stop asking.
Hmm.
uh,
Yeah, he is asexual.
yeah. Well, no. Well, I mean, he hooked up with Comseer.
Yeah,
Oh
okay. Well,
yeah.
it's a new lifestyle, all right?
He's just discovering himself.
Exactly.
Or maybe Blushweaver's just turning him gay. Maybe she's so off-putting to him,
Oh,
he's
even
like
better.
going gay.
Well, no, I feel like if Blushweaver is off-putting to him, he was always gay.
Anyways, they then arrive at the palace of Hopefinder the Just, god of innocence and beauty.
Oh,
The
I love
the
him.
colors of Hopefinder are apparently lavender and silver. Hopefinder
Great
has
colors.
apparently. Hmm?
Great colors.
I don't know, that's a great color combination.
It is.
I'm sure Mercy starts very jealous.
Mm.
I hate lavender.
What was hers? Orange and what?
Orange and gold.
Yeah.
It was rough. Hopefinder has apparently returned when he was just 2 years old and currently looks to be physically 13, although apparently the gods aren't supposed to note discrepancies in ages between the gods. However, he apparently has been a god for 6 years longer than Lightsong, which is 11 years, which makes sense because he went from 2 to 13, and we learned that until they reach age of maturity, they age normally. Physically, at least,
Yeah.
not mentally. So yeah, so he's
He
been a
was
god
always
for
an
a.
adult.
Hmm?
Yeah. They make a comment that he was like very adult-like already before, though.
Yeah. I think we get into it later, but I think they say like pretty much within the first year of being a return, you like rapidly age mentally. So basically, like I can imagine like a 3-year-old hope finder talking like an adult.
Imagine a
I get
three-year-old.
remove this
Imagine a three-year-old
like
trying to boss you around, telling you they're a god.
believe in me.
So yeah, so hope finder is yeah, he's been a god for
Wait,
11 years, more than double how long Light Song's been around.
huh.
Um, yeah. So
Yeah.
what were your first impressions of Hope Finder?
I wonder if puberty hits them the same way.
Probably
Oh,
not.
I don't think so.
I don't think puberty would really come from after, even if you came back after death. Like death
I mean, they
kind
don't
of.
really have like imperfections or sicknesses and stuff, so you at least wouldn't have like acne and all sorts of stuff.
Now that would be hilarious. A
That's
god
kind
of
of weird.
acne. The
God
god
with
of
acne.
acne. Yeah.
I'm sure his voice never cracked or anything.
That'd be interesting
Imagine.
too. Is he gonna just sound like a child all the time?
I imagine he like just sounds like an adult as like a
No,
Man,
I
toddler.
he just
doubt
sounds
it.
like an adult.
Wow. Don't mock me.
Has your voice cracked? Like, God.
The fuck?
She's still waiting for that growth spurt.
Why am I
Yeah,
being bullied?
exactly. She's still a child. It's okay.
Move on.
Move on. No, this is the funnest part.
But yeah, so what do you guys think about a toddler becoming a returned god? Like, how do you feel about the fact that like this toddler was like, ah, yes, our god, Hope Finder the Just. We have no idea what this baby's personality is, but he is Hope
How
Finder
is
the
he
Just.
just? Yeah, how is he
I wonder
just?
how bravely, I mean, like how justified their death was.
Yeah,
You know?
how
Yeah,
do
right?
you return in a heroic way as a
That's
2-year-old?
a 2-year-old. Yeah. Uh-huh. He jumped in the front of a cart that somebody was about to get ran over
God, yeah, I
as a
don't know.
2-year-old.
I don't know how you justify that.
And Truck Coon just took him out.
Anime style, you know, check them.
Anime style. He got isekai'd into this world.
Oh my gosh. Uh,
Isekai'd into
You
godhood.
know what? What if the priests are just a bunch of isekai nerds and they're just like
oh god.
reincarnated as gods? You know?
Mm-hmm.
Anyways, so
Anyways.
Lightsong and Blushweaver sit down with Hope Finder, who says he had a particularly difficult petition this morning. And Blushweaver responds, asking if he's really considering giving away his breath. And he says
Yes.
he is old and feels old, as he is the 5th most aged god currently.
Oh,
So
the
yeah,
fifth.
he's the 5th. Yeah, so there's four gods that have been around more than 11 years. So, and I think Lightsong also makes a point at some point that like kind of like 10 years is considered like old for a god.
Yes. Because
So
usually they give up their shit before
yeah, and
that.
I think we had been mentioned in previous chapters that like people were getting kind of like unhappy that like the gods were being around for so long. They're like, why are you being so selfish?
Like, just kill yourself is essentially what they're asking.
Just murder yourself.
Yeah.
It'll be fine.
So Blushweaver asks why he would do that when things are just getting exciting. And Hopefire says he believes things are actually calming down since the new queen has arrived. It's working to produce an air and bring stability. Blushweaver tries to protest, but Hopefinder says he knows what Blushweaver has been up to and he disagrees with her. He's like, no. Don't act like I'm stupid. I know exactly what you've been up to, bitch.
Which I find funny for what the kind of deal he makes with her.
Yeah, so Blushweaver then brings up Idrian agents causing a ruckus in the city, which causes Lyson to pause as he apparently wasn't aware of this. I think he has like a spoon like halfway up to his mouth or something. He was like eating soup, they said. And
Yep. I saw
Hopefinder
pause,
again.
spoon halfway to his hips. What was that?
That might be my
Wasn't
cat
it
back.
pineapple? Yeah.
But it was soup. I don't remember.
I remember they were eating pineapple.
I thought they had fruit and soup because I thought it was a spoon specifically.
Blushweaver asked the servants, bought them each chilled soup.
Yeah, chilled soup.
Hard to believe that you're uninformed.
But yeah. So where was
Pineapple
I?
involved eventually.
Hopefinder again doesn't find issue, saying he doesn't think it's much different than what happened with Var, and issues always come up every so often. So yeah, what do you think about Blushweaver and Hopefinder's opposing thoughts on the whole situation?
Doesn't seem like she's gonna get very far with at least at this point. It didn't seem like she was gonna get very far to getting what she wants.
Yeah.
I did. I did like the fact that. Wait, no, I'm low-key confused because, it says at some point that he reacts at some point, right?
Mm.
Like,
Uh-huh.
why are you trying to seduce me? It's not gonna work, right?
Yeah, that's later. Yeah.
That's later. Yeah.
Yeah. So,
That's one of my favorite parts of this chapter.
yeah. So, I just find it funny because no matter in what chapter it's happened, it's always been denied. You know?
Yeah. She's supposed to be this most gorgeous being, and like
Yeah.
two people
Nobody
now
wants her.
denied her.
I mean, I think Lightsong says that like she's not specifically like trying to seduce him there. That's just like the way she kind of acts in general. It's just like
Yeah,
she moves
that's
seductively.
that's
Because
like
I don't know if she would try and get with a kid that looks like he's 13 years old. I think she has some standard.
I don't know about that.
I don't know. I just that feels a
I think
little much to me.
I think Blushweaver would do literally anything to get those words.
well. To be fair, we also don't really. Does he look that way?
Yeah, they
Yes.
say he physically looks 13.
Oh no.
Yeah, he has the body of a 13-year-old.
It's okay,
A
Darkness.
really
They're
handsome
gods.
13-year-old, like model,
Yeah,
but
they're
still.
gods, Darkness. They can do what they want. There's no age of consent in this
Oh
world.
That's not
god.
how it works.
Oh god.
Well, okay, first off, that is how it works in godhood. Okay? Have you ever seen Greek mythology?
Yeah.
Jeez.
Like, gods don't give a shit about you, age or otherwise.
Yeah, but you see, Greek mythology is unhinged. Okay,
You're
so
right. Zeus is unhinged, but you know what?
like,
So could some of these gods.
I mean, they were told that not to bring up the age discrepancies. They're supposed to
Exactly.
all be treated the same.
oh
Oh,
It's
no.
horrible. All right, let's not go down this path.
I mean, we could go down this path though.
Yeah, my question was more about like, what do you think about like their opposing views? Like, do you think one of them has like more of a point than the other? Like, who do you think like if you were in Light Song's position, like you'd be more likely to be like, yeah, no, they have more of a point.
If I was in Light Song's position, I would not want to be here in the first place.
I feel like between like both of them arguing and shit, like I'm already in like Song's position. Like I'm just like chilling there, just watching them do it. You know?
Yeah, like don't really care for either side. Just one of them has to win.
yeah, that's exactly what I was thinking.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, like I said, the later conversation, I was like, I was astonished at what this kid says. So
Yeah. All right. So then we move on, and yeah, so this is when we learn that all return to age until maturity and then stop aging. And
including the God King.
yeah, and apparently they also age very quickly mentally within the first year of being returned, which is why Hope Finder seems much more mature than his physical age. Lightsong also notes how Hope Finder does not seem interested or doesn't notice Blushweaver being seductive. He's either like completely oblivious to it or he's just not interested. He's not sure which. Lightsong then considers how all the gods look a bit different in age and physique. He thinks about how maybe it's related to what society thinks is ideal at the time. He also thinks about how the gods seem to have social competencies and skills from before they returned. They pretty much have everything except their memories. So yeah, why do you think all the gods have slightly different appearances? Do you think it's just because that's how they looked before they returned? Do you think it's like Son said, like this shape and body type is more preferable at this time? Like, what do you think?
Mm.
I've already kind of stated what I think. I think they're able to change their appearance. I
Mm.
just feel like maybe they don't realize that they're able to do that. So it's like when they awakened originally, they changed their appearance to look different. Maybe something that they wanted in their actual life.
For like
And
their
then
ideal body type?
exactly. And then after that, then they don't remember they did it because they don't remember anything. And then their, you know, their ideal body type, pretty much.
Mm-hmm.
I
That
feel
does
like
make sense. Yeah.
I feel like if that is possible, that means that like if somebody is able to learn the ability to do that, that'd be a really good tool. And
Be
then
good at
maybe if
stealth.
they are able to do that, maybe Susebron can grow his tongue back.
Yeah.
oh no.
Think about it though, Darkness. Think about it. How fucking awesome would that be?
If he could talk finally.
Yeah, like this
You know
man
what?
that you were crushing over could finally have a voice.
I do. I've always like wondered throughout this whole story how how do God's bodies react if they can get hurt?
That's a
Can
good
they get
question.
her?
I mean,
What if you cut off one of their limbs?
yeah, we don't know. We know they can't get sick, but yeah, what happens? I mean,
Doesn't mean they
obviously
can't be
Susabrong's
decapitated.
tongue didn't grow back.
Yeah.
obviously.
So that's so hard to figure out. Because imagine how pissed everyone would be if you just decapitate a god in front of them, and they've been waiting years just to get
Think,
like. What if it's me that gets
oh
the breath? You know?
my goodness. Have you ever seen the movie 300?
No, I haven't.
No.
Damn. In that movie, the Persian, whatever, is like a god. He claims himself to be a god,
Mm,
and
Uh,
the whole idea, this dude, he brings 300 people into a war of like so many Persians, and his whole thing at the till the very end is he wants to make a god bleed. That would be an interesting concept, even in this world, of
hmm.
like if you could show the world that these gods bleed, it would make them less of gods
Interesting.
and more human.
yeah.
I mean, it also gives me an idea of can the lifeless bleed?
It'd be it'd be cool if it's just like they get decapitated, and they're just like talking still and shit.
Yep, because they're still technically undead. I still have breath, even though my lungs are not attached.
All
See, now if
right.
that's possible, though, if that's
Well,
possible, right? All the
Where's the
priests could
breast
just
stored?
chop. Yeah, right.
that's what I was gonna say. Where is breast stored?
Is it stored in the brain? Is it stored in the lungs? Is it stored in the heart? Like where, or is it stored
What
everywhere?
storage is that?
Is it like a spiritual force or something?
But like, if that's possible, right? If you could chop the head off of a god, you could just chop the heads off of all of these gods. They couldn't walk around anymore,
Damn.
and
What
you
if
could
you?
have prophecies.
What if you could? Here's it's gonna get a little dark here, right?
Uh-oh.
Okay.
What if you could forcibly remove breaths, like by harvesting lungs?
Oh my gosh.
Mhm.
Because I don't know. You never know if they tried it or not. You know?
Experimentation.
Yeah, I don't think I would be very like sane in this world.
Yeah, you'd be a murderer. It's okay though. People seem to
Half
be
the
able to get
people
away with
there are,
that. Yeah, I say people seem to get away with it. So,
especially the drinking.
or Vasher.
All right, so we're gonna keep going. Hopefinder then tells Blushweaver he won't be convinced by her seductions, paranoid arguments, and fears. Blushweaver states that her contacts in the God King's palace don't think they're being paranoid, and Hopefinder replies that everyone has contacts in the God King's palace, although Lightsong pipes up that he doesn't. Um, and then we learn that Hopefinder is the last person with lifeless commands. Hopefinder says that he will give them to Blushweaver if she gives him her vote in social matters, as in his 11 years, his vote has never come up, as it has always been peaceful, and he expects things to continue to be peaceful. Blushweaver seems to hesitate for a moment, but eventually states it will be done. Lightsong is a bit shocked by this, realizing how serious Blushweaver is about worrying that Halandrin is in danger. Do you think it's good that Hopefinder is willing to give away his lifeless commands?
Nope, because I don't think Weaver is going to uh, fulfill her end of the bargain.
Also, how do you feel about them giving a 2-year-old lifeless commands?
That's what I was thinking. Yeah, but
Why?
I was
But
waiting
why
till we brought.
any of these people lifeless commands? All three of the people who have had lifeless commands, I don't understand why any of them have it.
We've got the brave, the kind, the just, and then I don't think we know what All Mother is, what her like title is. We just know that her name's All
The
Mother.
motherly.
Hmm?
The motherly.
All
The
Mother, the
matron.
matriarch, or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, there you go. All Mother the feminist. Okay.
But yeah, so
There has to be
do you think it was good that he
some
gave away
sort
his
of.
commands? Like his assumptions are basically like there is gonna be no war. There has not been a war since I've been around. I don't see there being any war anytime soon. I want to actually vote on things that matter.
He's been alive for like what?
11
Like
years. So like half of
what?
the time between since the mini war ended.
Hmm.
So it's been 20 years since the treaty
Yeah.
came in, and it's
War.
been
I don't think
11 of
war
those now.
happens that fast.
That's just since it ended, not since it was like ongoing and started.
Yeah, but there has to be recovery time between the sites.
Yeah. Well, he says he has contacts, and he doesn't seem to think that there's going to be a war, even though Blushweaver's convinced there will be.
Oh, that's one of my favorite comments from Light Song too. Of when she says, "I have contacts," and he says, "I don't."
Yeah, he's like, I don't.
Can
Yeah.
you give me one of yours?
Yeah,
Have you?
yeah, she's like, I have contacts, and Hope Finder's like, we all have contacts.
Yeah, exactly. And then he goes, "I don't."
So.
Oh no, he has series. So
Yeah.
No, oh no. What it was, it wasn't contacts. I'm sorry. It was Hopefire says contacts question mark, and just who are these contacts you keep mentioning? She says people within the God King's palace itself. He
Yeah.
goes, we all have people in the God King's palace.
Yes.
Hopefire says, and he goes, I don't. Can I have one of yours?
Yeah.
I have nobody in there. Yes, you do, Light Song. Her name is Siri.
yeah,
Yeah.
literally one of the most important ones.
Exactly.
But yeah, so yeah, so Lightsong sits watching the two other gods discuss the exchange of the vote, and Lifeless commences some more, and Lightsong remembers a fragment of a memory, a dream that he might never have dreamed, a shining room, glowing, reflecting light, a room of steel, a prison. So yeah, what do you guys think about this?
He is a deity indeed. He has visions.
A prison.
It says, yeah, it says, Lily word for word, I believe, is a shining room,
It's a
glowing,
prison, yeah.
reflecting light, a room of steel, a prison.
Steel. Yep, a prison.
Hmm. I mean, that would go along with his job, to be honest, but it could still be a memory. Oh, okay.
Yeah, I mean, I'm still sticking with it. Like you
Okay.
said, I'm still sticking with it. I think he's seeing his past.
All
It could
right.
also be the future, so you know.
Maybe he gets locked up.
I mean, those who cannot learn from their past often relive it in the future. So
Mm-hmm. All
Well,
right.
especially those who can't remember their past.
So Hopefinder then gives Blushweaver his security phrase for his lifeless, which I believe
like
is
an
a
idiot.
poem title, and tells Blushweaver to vote in favor of the Reformist Party in the vote later that day, and then leaves. And Song says he feels like they were played, and Blushweaver responds that they were only played if there is no war. Blushweaver then states that she is both Hopefinder and Mercy Star's lifeless, as apparently Lightsong's interest in the death of her servant swayed her, which Lightsong states that wasn't on purpose. Lightsong then admits to Blushweaver that he thinks he might have been a city guard in his previous life. He says if he ever got his hands on a sword, he feels like he might be the best duelist the city had ever seen. Blushweaver notes that Lightsong seems serious, and Lightsong makes a joke about being as serious as a dead squirrel, which he says is an inside joke, and then states he can't figure out how juggling lemons fits into it all. So yeah, how do you think juggling lemons fits into Lightsong's past life?
Because he was a carny.
Hmm.
Honestly, I
Maybe
have
he
no
like
idea.
lemons and juggling.
I was gonna say that might just be a hobby. Like not everything has to
I
relate
could
to your
have.
job.
Mm-hmm.
Also, what's her name? The freaking oh, what's her name?
I don't
How
know which
the
woman
one
you're
we were
talking
just
about.
talking about?
Which
Blush
one?
Weaver?
Blush River. Blush River puts a lot of like faith in the fact that you know they're actually giving her the keys.
Well, I think she's probably gonna send people to go like check the commands
Find
right
out.
away, and she
Yep,
wouldn't vote for
immediately.
who Hope Finder wants if it's the wrong one.
Mm-hmm.
She would have to check herself because I doubt she would just give it away to other people. No.
She gives it to her like her
Yeah,
priest.
I
She
think
makes
her high
comments on that.
priest. I think even
Yeah, she makes.
Lightsong says that like there's a select few of his priests that would know his lifeless commands.
Mm-hmm. I mean,
Yeah.
I do like that he makes a comment of would I lie to you, and she goes only every time you claim you don't want to sleep with me.
She's very convinced that he's interested in her.
Uh
He's
huh.
very insistent he's not.
He's like gagging it and like walking back to his palace and shit.
Yeah.
He's like, please stop.
Ah,
Hmm? No? Okay.
You say
I
them in
think he could
darkness.
get the lemons.
You think he can juggle lemons?
Do you think you could juggle lemons, or
Midnight,
I could
she'd be
not.
pretty good at it.
I can't
I
juggle.
I I don't think Midnight has the coordination.
I do not.
Have you seen her cook?
Well, I'm fine at
Well,
cooking.
it's more the fact that she has more time to catch them because how low she is to the ground.
I don't. I can't juggle. I've tried in the past.
Oh, so you trying to be a carny?
No, I didn't try to be a carny. In both elementary school and high school, in like gym class, they tried to teach us to juggle one time.
I actually
Oh.
can juggle.
Lame.
I mean, you've never left middle school, so
Wow. Anyways, I got a couple overview questions because that was the last chapter. So we know we should get at least a little more interaction between Ciri and Lightsong since Lightsong is getting the storyteller for Ciri. Do you think we'll continue to get lots of interactions between the two now that they're kind of like not really sharing information, but like they seem to
Sleeping
trust each
together.
other?
sleeping together is that
Oh
what
my
you said,
gosh.
Marcus?
Yeah.
No, I definitely think she's gonna be like his inside informant.
He's gonna be her
Oh,
outside informant because she doesn't trust anyone
Yep.
inside.
Well, no, that's what I'm saying. I think she is gonna be his inside
it's inside
informant.
informant.
Yeah, and then I'm saying he's gonna be her outside
Yeah.
informant.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
So
Hopefully,
I'm
get her
looking
out of
forward to
this.
that meeting they're gonna have because they're
With the
Yeah.
gonna meet
storyteller.
eventually. Like the storyteller. Yeah.
We'll hopefully get some more information about previous god kings and stuff.
What if she brings like Sister Brown along and she's like, "Yeah, this is fine."
I don't think they let her meet up with Susabron outside of the nighttime.
Yeah, definitely.
Wait, it didn't.
It's wishful
Wasn't
thinking.
there, wasn't there already a thing about that too, where they were saying that? I can't even remember it now.
They keep them on separate sides. Of
Yeah,
the,
they
Yeah,
don't
like they
let
always keep
them.
them separate.
Yeah, they're always in separate parts of the palace.
Oh man, that's
She's
so
not allowed to
weird to me.
interact with. I think it's more they're like worried
it's
about her finding out
technically
about the
just
whole tongue
pouring
thing.
them out to each other.
Hmm?
You know? They're like they just it's so weird. They're like shoving them in a room, telling them to fuck, and then like to not talk to each other ever again
Yeah,
until they have to do it again.
yeah,
Wait, they're not even like talking to each other. They're not even supposed to. They're just supposed to fuck and leave.
yeah.
No, she's supposed to rape him and leave because he has no idea what that is.
Yeah, she's supposed to. She's basically supposed to rape him and then sleep. That's it.
But she's supposed to do it with minimal contact.
Yes.
Exactly. Don't touch him. Don't talk to him. Just
Don't even look him in
somehow
the eye.
Yeah, just somehow do it. Makes no sense.
It really doesn't. I don't really know how they thought that was gonna work, but
Exactly. Teach him how to do it.
anyways, so it also sounds like some of the Idrians that Vivenna is going to be meeting might not be the best people. How do you think this meeting is going to go? Because it's hopefully gonna be soon. It's 3 days.
They're gonna hold her for ransom, and then Denth is gonna show his actual amazing powers and murder them all.
He's gonna pull out a second nape blood.
Oh gosh.
I don't know about that, but I definitely think he's gonna murder them all.
And
Yeah.
all. Oh, go ahead.
So my view on everything that ever happens, even if it's like going according to plan, is
Mhm.
always something's gonna go wrong. So yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Things are gonna go fire.
Just waiting for the other shoe to drop, right?
Yep, always.
So my last question was, we kind of touched on it briefly, but we now know all of the gods who have been given lifeless commands: Lightsong the Brave, Mercy Star the Kind, All-Mother, who we don't know the prefix for, and Hopefinder the Just. What do you think it says that these gods specifically were given the lifeless commands?
That whoever gave him lifeless commands are stupid.
Or smart.
Either way, yeah, sure. Either they didn't want them used, or they wanted them used by like people who are just not competent at all.
I mean,
Because you
Hopefinder seems
see,
competent.
Who?
yeah, but the issue is
Hopefinder.
that they seem pretty
I don't know about
compliant.
that.
Right?
He's a child.
He has the mentality of an adult. He's just physically a
Yes,
child.
so does everybody else. They're still children.
What
He
is
has the mentality.
narrator?
He has the physicality of a child, but the mentality of an adult. Lightsong has the physicality of an adult, but the mindset of a child.
They
Well, I
complement each
can't.
other.
Yeah, the other woman is just naive in general. And I don't even
Maybe
know
All
about
Mother will
all
be
about
like the
this, but
complement to Mercy Star. Maybe she'll be super wise.
possibly, yeah, possibly. The girl gave up her lifeless command to somebody, like just willy nilly. Like,
Yeah, they apparently
no,
don't have All Mother's commands yet, as far as we know.
nope.
Bloodsugar
Or
says she only
and
has
they
Mercy
don't
Stars and Hope
have,
Finders.
and they don't have light songs.
Yeah, technically.
She's using them to protect her children. That's why.
So yeah, those were all of my questions there. Do you guys have anything else you want to discuss about this chapter, or are we good?
I'm
Or,
good.
Pretty good.
I'm gonna need further details.
all
Yeah, I'm gonna
right.
need to read all the way to 50 something.
No. Next episode, we are reading chapters 31 to
34.
34. It'll be 4
How close are
chapters.
we to the one that you said where you're gonna have to read it on stream?
That was chapter 45, I believe. So
45. Okay.
that's gonna be episode 10. So next episode is episode 8. So that's another 2 episodes after next.
Okay.
Technically 3 episodes away because we haven't done episode 8 yet. So that's gonna
Hmm.
be
Okay.
early January that we'll be doing that. So yeah, enjoy reading those next few chapters, and I'll see you guys around.
Yeah.
Alrighty. Bye, everybody.
Thanks for
Bye.
listening.